Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes so sweet and sexy. Have fun and enjoy the journey. Or just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. And not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade. Sipping motions of lemonade. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. There's a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Stack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Machegas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proceed, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. A cupcake sweet and sassy. And not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, my friends. How's everyone today? Today is Monday, May 12th, 2025, and we are about to start day 14 of the insanity that is the retrial of Karen Reed in Norfolk County, Massachusetts. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend and a wonderful Mother's Day. I hope all of your children were good to you. Mine were. The fan is up in court. They are not starting until 10 o'clock today, so I hope everybody got a nice extra hour of sleep if you were able to. I have 2 new motions up. I have not even had the opportunity to reach them because they literally just landed in my inbox just now. And so we can take a quick look at them, but we will have to break to court if court starts. So let us do that. YURIY Bukhenik is still on the stand under cross-examination. And remember, Brian Higgins told him that when he left 34 Fairview in the early morning hours of January 29th, 2022, the reason that he did not see John O'Keefe's body is because it was hidden by a snowbank. Okay? Yeah, you heard it. You heard it here first. Well, you heard it for the second time because you already heard it. Explain to me then why the Commonwealth found it necessary to call a weatherman, because in my opinion, the weatherman only hurt their case. The weatherman said there was only enough snow in the early morning hours of January 29th, 2022 to track a cat. Only enough snow to track a cat. So why did they need that witness? He hurts the Commonwealth's case more than helps it. There is listen, some people have sent me this Brady List website. It's not real. It's not real. Please do not believe everything that you read on the internet. The Brady List website is not real. So please, anybody can make a website and call it anything they want. So do not fall for the things that you read on the internet. I am based on documents, transcripts, court papers. Let's take a look. Docket number. This is docket number. Which one is this? Which one did I pull up first? 689, docket number 689. Commonwealth's motion to preclude inadmissible hearsay under the guise of a Bowden defense. This was just filed this morning at 8:33 a.m. And I guess the clerk was working early this morning. So there's that. I haven't read this yet. It's a cold read for me, so bear with me as you do. Evidence that certain tests were not conducted, that certain police procedures were not followed, or that certain information known to the police about another suspect was not investigated. I'm sorry. They're going to make me laugh already. In circumstances in which it was reasonable to expect that the police should have conducted such tests, followed such procedures, or investigated such information is inadmissible. Oh, I see. Massachusetts Rule of Evidence 1107. A. However, a defendant does not have an unfettered right to elicit evidence regarding the adequacy of the police investigation. That's in quotes. The admissibility of such evidence hinges first and foremost on its relevance. Well, I guess it's real easy to make a bogus motion like this when the court denies the expert on real police procedures, isn't it? Wow, he's really getting feisty, that Hank Brennan. Let's put his little name tag up in the corner here, shall we? My name is Hank Brennan, like he's at a sales conference. And this is what he's trying to sell the judge right now. Citing a couple of cases. Oh, and the last one he cites Commonwealth v. Moore. Judge properly exercised discretion to exclude third-party culprit evidence as part of a Bowden defense, where defense counsel's proffer did not demonstrate that the probative weight of the Bowden evidence exceeded the risk of unfair prejudice. Oh, the unfair prejudice to the Commonwealth. What will we ever do? It's all about the Commonwealth and not having a fair trial for the Commonwealth, which again is not a constitutional right, my friends. The constitutional right is for the defendant to have a fair trial. But here we are in the upside down, inside out Narnia of a Michigas shit show that is Massachusetts. All right, that's it. That's my one and only curse word of the day. Get it out early. For those of you who are not aware, a Bowden defense is a defense in Massachusetts. I don't know if it's a Massachusetts case, actually. It could be a Supreme Court. But anyway, it's a defense that says, jury, Your Honor, this investigation was so poorly done that there's absolutely no way that you could find my client guilty. It's the attack of the investigation. The police did a horrible job, and that is a Bowden defense. While Bowden preserves the defendant's right to attack the adequacy of the police investigation, that attack is still constrained by the rules of evidence. Nothing in the Bowden case authorizes the defendant to introduce otherwise inadmissible hearsay. Commonwealth v. Raposa. The defense's attempt to elicit inadmissible hearsay under the guise of a Bowden defense is improper. The defense has failed to establish that certain information, particularly confidential materials provided by the U.S. Attorney's Office in February 2024, were known to Sergeant YURIY BUKHENIK, or that in these circumstances, it would have been reasonable for police to investigate such information. Footnote 1. 1 second. Footnote 1 says, Sergeant Buchanek was not a party to the federal protective order, nor the confidential materials. Further, he was sequestered during the first and current trial. I guess they're nervous about what Alan Jackson's going to ask Yuri today. It's my guess that he's going to be on the stand for at least the entire day today, maybe even into tomorrow, because the Commonwealth doesn't want to call Proctor. Yuri's the guy. Yuri's the guy. And he's going to have to answer for all of it. For example, we didn't even get to the sallyport video yet, and the inverted sallyport video, and where that came from, and who gave it to him, and the chain of custody of that, Proctor's text messages, and so much more. Friday was such a great day for the defense, in my opinion. For example, the federal government's decision to obtain cell phone records of an investigator and civilians does not fall within the parameters of Bowden, especially when there's never been a showing that those cell phone records were material and relevant to the investigation. Footnote 2. I guess they're talking about all the text messages of Proctor that were discovered through the federal investigation, although Proctor read those on the stand the last time. So desperate. Footnote 2. The defense previously filed Rule 17 motions for access to Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, Kevin Albert, Kenneth Berkowitz, and Michael Proctor's cell phone records, which were denied due to a lack of relevance or materiality. Yeah, well, if the Massachusetts State Police and/or Canton PD had done a proper investigation, the defense would not have had to make those motions because they would have been procured by the investigating agency. But no, they didn't do that because they never, ever, ever looked at another suspect other than the girl, Karen Reed. Michael Proctor decided he was going to pin it on the girl within 16 hours. I would submit to you that he even decided that he was going to pin it on the girl by 2:30 that afternoon when he called for the tow of her car without ever seeing it and having only spoken to Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, and Brian Albert. Hadn't even spoken to any of the investigators on the scene. Yep, that's right. It's hard to believe, but it happened. We're here for the second time. And it's still going full steam ahead. And Hank Brennan will do everything in his power to try and prevent the defense from putting on any case whatsoever. Under Bowden, he says, it must be reasonable to expect that police should have followed certain procedures or investigated such information to be admissible. The questions repeatedly proffered by the defense are an improper attempt to admit otherwise inadmissible evidence. Evidence admitted pursuant to a Bowden defense is not hearsay because it is not offered to show the truth of the matter asserted, rather that the information was provided to police is information that the testifying witness has personal knowledge of, and yet that information was not adequately investigated. Such evidence that police failed to investigate leads concerning another suspect must have been known to law enforcement at the time. Oh, well, you know what? Then it just doesn't give them any incentive to look, does it? If it's going to be precluded at any trial, doesn't give them any incentive to look at any other suspects, does it? No, sure doesn't. Welcome to Massachusetts. Bowden does not permit the defendant to ask questions without proper foundation or questions that are replete of unauthenticated, inadmissible hearsay solely to infect the jury with speculative claims that the defense has continually failed to establish. Oh, they're in. Well, the sound is up. Similarly, if the defense intends to claim that police lost or destroyed evidence, oh, they're back. We'll come back to this because you can't make it up. I already swiped myself out of the stream. It's too early for that. Don't worry. I stopped it. We didn't miss a thing. Here we go. She's already annoyed that she's come into 3 motions today. Get your sigh emojis ready. God save us from the Commonwealth. Jury's not there. Here we go. Unmuted.
Now open and make a seat.
All right, good morning. I came into 3 motions that I did not have when I checked email before coming to court today. So I'll hear you quickly on these. I've had a chance to read them. So
We haven't.
Mr. Brennan, I'll hear you.
I'm sure the defense hasn't.
And, let's
Your
today
file this
focus on the
morning.
Bowden ones. We can focus on the other one.
The third one just hit my inbox. Yeah.
My motion memorandum on Bowden just iterates my objections continuously at sidebar that not all evidence is admissible, characterization of evidence is not admissible, and the defense should have the ability and intention to follow up with substantive proof if they're going to ask a question. It's not limitless. Bowden is wide parameters to ask the investigator about their state of mind, about the scope of the investigation, but it has boundaries of reasonableness. And my earlier objections about offering information that go into beyond Bowden, delve into third-party, inadmissible evidence, those objections are what compel me to draft this motion. And I can continue and will continue to object during the case, but once the questions are asked, if they're improper, the jury hears them.
Reasonable? There's nothing reasonable about this entire sham of a prosecution, Brennan, and you know it. That's why they had to hire you to try this case.
And without a basis and an intention to follow it up with substantive proof, the question should not be asked.
So the one point I want you to focus on, Mr. Brennan, is the specific evidence regarding materials that Sergeant Buchanek has not been able to look at.
You want me to?
Is that something we can do here in open court, or based on the protective orders, that's something that should be done at sidebar?
Sidebar.
All right, why don't you come up, Mr. Jackson?
Cool. Cool. That gives me a chance to read this while they're at sidebar. I'll finish reading to you. Where was I? Similarly, if the defense intends to claim that police lost or destroyed evidence, the defense bears the initial burden to establish a reasonable possibility based on concrete evidence rather than a fertile imagination that access to the evidence would have produced evidence favorable to his or her case. If the defendant meets that burden, the trial judge must weigh the culpability of the Commonwealth, the materiality of the evidence, and the potential prejudice to the defendant. Given the defense strategy to ask repeated improper and argumentative questions, a curative instruction is insufficient. Therefore, the Commonwealth requests a voir dire hearing of Sergeant Buchanek for the court to determine whether the areas of the defendant's proffer of Bowden evidence is admissible before evidence and argument is made to the jury. XOXO, Hank Brennan. That was just filed this morning. It is called the Commonwealth's motion to preclude inadmissible hearsay under the guise of a Bowden defense. And they would like a voir dire or an offer of proof outside the presence of the jury to show the judge that they have admissible questions that he can answer. And they're arguing that because YURIY Bukhenik was not a party to the federal materials, that he should not be asked questions about it or whether he knew about it. We'll see what the judge has to say about this. I wonder if the defense even had an opportunity to read the papers. The next motion that they filed this morning, docket number 690, is the Commonwealth's motion to introduce additional evidence of the nature of the defendant and victim's relationship. Let me see, well, what do they want here? These are hot off the press. But I did just get a third motion in my inbox, so let's take a look at that one first, because that's what she said. She wants to discuss the Bowden motions first, and there are 3 motions, so I think I have that here. Just give me a second. It's the defendant's opposition to that motion. Okay, so you can take a look at that. Just let me close this and this. This is the defendant's opposition filed also this morning. So I guess they were working all weekend on this bogus motion instead of actually prepping for the trial, or at least one of the defense team members was. Now comes the defendant, Karen Reed, and files the instant opposition to the Commonwealth's motion to preclude inadmissible hearsay under the guise of a Bowden defense. The Commonwealth seeks to undermine Ms. Reed's right to confront her accusers and to cross-examine witnesses, a right conferred by both the Sixth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution and Article 12 of the Massachusetts Declaration of Rights. Massachusetts Rule of Evidence 611b1 gives the practical effect allowing questions on cross-examination on any matter relevant to any issue in the case, including credibility and matters not elicited during direct examination. The only requirement is that questions are asked on a reasonable and good faith basis, regardless of whether the party intends to offer such substantive evidence of the statements at trial. Questions do not need to be based on admissible evidence, though they may be curtailed when a witness makes continual and repeated denials. Other limits to the scope of cross-examination are harassment, prejudice, confusion of the issues, the witness's safety, or interrogation that is repetitive or only marginally relevant. Vague suggestions of racial, ethnic, or religious prejudices without any support are impermissible. Limits, however, do not include instances where the defense seeks to elicit testimony from a witness about the adequacy of the police investigation. Such testimony is explicitly protected under Commonwealth v. Bowden. That answers my question. It is a Massachusetts case. Hold on. And Massachusetts Rule of Evidence 1107A as both relevant and permissible. Testimony elicited in support of Ms. Reed's Bowden defense does not have the effect of harassing the witness or confusing the jury, nor are the questions marginally relevant. Rather, questions on cross-examination about an investigator's knowledge of the very investigation he was conducting is highly relevant. Roman 1, the testimony Ms. Reed seeks to elicit in support of a Bowden defense is inherently not hearsay and is admissible. Defendants have the right to base their defense on the failure of police adequately to investigate a murder in order to raise the issue of reasonable doubt as to the defendant's guilt in the minds of the jury. Specifically, Ms. Reed is permitted to offer evidence regarding a third-party culprit whose existence was known to the police, but whose potential involvement was never investigated. In this scenario, the risk of prejudice to the Commonwealth is less because the police are able to explain what they did to determine that the suspect was not guilty of the crime. I think I can guess why this motion was filed. Probably was served on Friday on the defense because they knew upcoming is going to be the defense's cross-examination of all of the sallyport video and the fact that Higgins is seen talking on the phone and other questions regarding Higgins, because Higgins and Brian Albert are the only two third-party culprits that under the court's ruling, the defense is allowed to point to if they have a good faith basis. Whether there are other potential suspects with incentive to direct police attention away from themselves and towards someone else, namely the defendant, is highly relevant in a criminal trial. Evidence offered in support of a Bowden defense is not hearsay testimony. It is not offered for its truth. Just because the same testimony, if offered for its truth, would be inadmissible hearsay does not mean that it must be excluded. In fact, various cases recognize instances where testimony may be offered for the purposes of a Bowden defense, but not for a third-party culprit defense, citing a whole 3 more cases. By definition, questions about Bukhenik's investigative knowledge are not hearsay. The testimony elicited from these questions go to his knowledge, understanding of the investigation as it was unfolding, not to its inherent truth. The Commonwealth motion recognizes that questions about an investigator's knowledge under a Bowden defense are not hearsay. However, proceeds to suggest that answers to questions to this effect are inadmissible hearsay. The Commonwealth's motion goes on to accuse the defense of asking repeated improper and argumentative questions, and yet does not offer one example of such questions. In fact, remember last Friday afternoon, we kind of forgot that Hank Brennan was even there. It was the Alan Jackson show, guest starring YURIY Bukhenik. I don't remember him going up to sidebar 100 times on Friday. Does anybody else? I don't. There were a couple of very long sidebars, but now that I think of it, I don't recall what they were about, though. Because we don't know. Because nothing's done here in open court. Jury's not in the room. The Commonwealth's motion goes on. Oh, wait, I just said that. Were the Commonwealth's motion granted, it would effectively gut Ms. Reed's ability to offer a Bowden defense by erroneously classifying the very questions and testimony that compose a Bowden defense as hearsay. The Commonwealth is correct that it must be reasonable to expect that police should have followed certain procedures or investigated such information to be admissible. The Commonwealth fails, however, to explain what precisely is unreasonable about the defense raising alternate suspects that the state police chose not to investigate, despite being aware of their potential motives and opportunities to commit the crime Ms. Reed is accused of. The Commonwealth states that the defense's questions thus far have been improper and yet provides not one example of such improper testimony. Well, we've read a lot of Hank Brennan motions during the course of the pretrial here since he took the helm of the re-persecution, and he doesn't even know how to write a motion. He barely cites case law. He doesn't give examples. He doesn't include an affidavit, and it's just the way he does it. It is true that evidence offered for a Bowden defense must be relevant and more probative than unduly prejudicial. Here, the Commonwealth makes the bare suggestion that testimony about Bukhenik's knowledge of other potential suspects is irrelevant. However, it is unclear how a key investigator's understanding of the investigation could be anything other than relevant. Further, it's worth noting that all evidence or testimony proffered by one party will be prejudicial to the other. The key question is whether the testimony in question is unfairly prejudicial. Thank you. Citing the Moore case, if evidence is relevant to the adequacy of the police investigation, the judge must then determine whether the probative value of the Bowden evidence is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. Here, it is unclear how such testimony would be unfairly prejudicial to the Commonwealth, particularly where the Commonwealth has the opportunity to rebut any testimony on redirect. Roman 2. The appropriate avenue for the Commonwealth's concerns is a robust rebuttal. Further, the Commonwealth asserts no basis in its motion for the claim that voir dire is the appropriate way to address their unsupported claims. The Commonwealth cites Commonwealth v. Avila to suggest that the defense is seeking to elicit what it calls inadmissible hearsay and to support its request for a voir dire hearing. However, Avila did not address voir dire issues. Rather, it allows for a robust rebuttal by the Commonwealth of a Bowden defense via redirect and the introduction of additional evidence. Further, Avila holds that a curative instruction about the purpose of testimony offered for a Bowden defense and in rebuttal was an appropriate avenue to address concerns as to how that testimony would be considered by the jury. Effective cross-examination is a critical safeguard of liberty and an invaluable tool for testing the reliability of evidence. And as such, the Supreme Judicial Court has long recognized surprise is an important element of effective cross-examination. Here, the Commonwealth seeks to undermine this important right and vitiate Ms. Wright's constitutional right to cross-examine a key prosecution witness by seeking an order that Sergeant Bukhenik be permitted to preview the questions that will be asked by the defense at a voir dire hearing in advance of his testimony before a jury. This request must be denied. Is this normal? Aaron says, nothing about this case is normal. Nothing. I think Brennan wants 2 bites of every apple. That's why he demanded a voir dire of Dr. Russell and kept her on the stand for 2 full days, even though she was highly qualified and admitted as an expert witness at the first trial. That way he gets almost like a deposition. He gets a dry run. He gets a practice run with the witness, and he should not be allowed to have that, in my opinion. Conclusion, Ms. Wright has a round.
Let's bring in the jury. Will that take a couple of minutes, Paul? Okay, thank you.
We don't know the ruling, of course. Ms. Wright has the right to mount a vigorous defense of the allegations against her. She has a right to confront and cross-examine witnesses, and she may present evidence that police investigation in this case was deficient. Ms. Reed respectfully request that the court deny the Commonwealth's request to deny her constitutional right to confrontation. XOXO. Alan Jackson, Elizabeth Little, David Yannetti, Robert Alessi. And if the jury's coming in and Bukhenik is getting back on the stand, sounds like she probably denied their motion, but we won't know that because they don't tell us anything, because the world is watching, but they don't want the world to watch. So there's that. Waiting for the jury. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. It wouldn't be a Monday without a temper tantrum from Hank Brennan, would it? Of course not. Of course it wouldn't. Good morning, Big Hoss, and thanks for reminding everyone to hit the like button while you're here. Hit the like button, everyone. It's free. Helps the channel, helps the algorithm, and hit the subscribe button while you're at it, because that's free too. And you don't want to miss the thing. Donna's Banana Bread. I've heard of money laundering, but evidently the Alberts were dog laundering. Well, it seems that Chloe, who is now Cora, may be involved in the WITSEC protection. First dog ever to enter witness protection, maybe? Who knows? Who knows what the hell's going on here? On top, happy Mother's Day. I lost mine, so you're adopted, please. Oh, I'll be your adopted mom on top. Absolutely. And I'm sorry about the loss of your mom. Good morning, Paul. Looking forward to day 14. Watching here with my partner, Jillian Kennedy in Dublin. Hello, Dublin. We have a huge, very large Irish and Scottish audience. South Africa, Australia. You guys are from all over the world and you're here for it. GB Guthrie, thanks for your super chat. I cringe and throw up in the back of my throat every time the Commonwealth opines on their right to a fair trial. I wish the defense would say something. Oh, well, they have. They've said things. They've said lots of things. If you weren't here for all the pretrial mess, I have an entire playlist on everything. Well, post-trial. So there's an entire pretrial, first trial list, entire first trial playlist, post-trial, pretrial, this trial, and now this trial. There's hundreds of hours of content. They absolutely have said something about 400 times, but it's like Groundhog Day when you wake up every day and the same thing happens over and over again and nothing ever changes. It's also the definition of insanity, isn't it? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Good morning, Sage Henning. Where is Brennan's scolding for not submitting this earlier? Well, I think what happened is it wasn't docketed with the court until today. But now that I look at it, the defense's opposition is dated today. So my guess is that he served it on the defense on Friday so that they could have to do this over the weekend. And then they just handed him their response this morning. Who knows if he's even ready yet? Bev scolded Alessi for the late motion, but so nice to Brennan about his. Well, same stuff, different day. Good morning, Mary Coppola. Fine, then call each law enforcement officer as a defense witness. Yeah. Best gun-losing detective says, I only remember one sidebar when judge said, Trooper B, answer the questions. Well, there was another one about the sneaker. There was another one about the text messages because they had to be redacted. Because when she said to Alan Jackson, you're not going to have him read this whole entire thing, are you? Which, by the way, is also prejudicial to the defense. They had a long sidebar after that. A long one about the sneakers and something else. Oh, watched a great movie last night on Netflix. For those of you who partake, it's called Nona's with Vince Vaughn, Lorraine Bracco, Brenda Vaccaro, Talia Shire, Susan Sarandon. So good. But a guy who opens a restaurant in Staten Island. Did anybody watch it? So good. And he has grandmas cooking in the kitchen based on a true story. Loved it. Highly recommend. Thank you, Edmund, for your Monday morning super chat. Will Brennan's Hail Mary work? It doesn't look like it because the jury's coming over. Yuri's getting back on the stand.
Hey. All persons have any business before the Honorable Beverly Canoni, Justice of the Norfolk Superior Court before the County of Norfolk. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is now open.
God save the Commonwealth.
All right. Good morning again, counsel. Good morning, Ms. Reed. Good morning, Julie. We appreciate your patience this morning. We're trying really hard to cut back on the sidebar conferences, so we spent some time this morning, hopefully paving the way for that to be able to happen. So we do appreciate it.
20 minutes.
I do have to ask you those questions. Were you all able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we left here on Friday? Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow the instruction and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case? Yes. Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left here? Everyone said no. Thank you. Could we have Sergeant Buchanek again, please? And Mr. Jackson, you can go to the podium.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, it's weird because the Commonwealth motion is dated the 12th, as is the opposition. And they were both also stamped, filed today. So I don't know. I'm confused.
Sergeant, I'll remind you, you're under oath. Thank you.
Welcome back, Yuri.
All right, Mr. Jackson, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Sergeant.
Good morning.
I'd like to ask you, just to start off with, at some point during the course of your investigation, did you become aware that a snowplow driver had reported having seen a Ford Edge being moved into a location in front of 34 Fairview sometime in the early morning hours of January 29th, 2022.
We learned about a plow truck driver. I don't believe his recollection was as you described, though.
Do you remember him mentioning a Ford Edge?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember him saying that the Ford Edge had been moved? He had passed by, it wasn't there. At some point, he passed by again, and it was there, impeding his plow route.
Yes.
Okay. What is your best memory about when he said he believed the Ford Edge? Sorry, I guess a better way to put it is, when did he say he first saw the Ford Edge in place in front of 34 Fairview?
I don't remember exactly. I know it was during the middle of the night. My not adopting your narrative was the fact that he saw it being moved there.
Understood. I figured that. I clocked that as soon as I said it. He didn't see it moved. He saw it. He saw 34 Fairview without it there. Then about an hour later, it was there.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Would about 3:30 in the morning sound right to you in terms of what he reported, in terms of the time that he saw it there?
It sounds right, but I'm not sure of the exact time. My report would reflect the accurate time.
Fair enough. Let me see if I can grab that.
If you're new to this case, wait till you find out when they actually interviewed the plow driver. How long after the murder of John
Let
O'Keefe?
me ask this. Well,
Seems lucky.
very lengthy report. Instead of making you sit there and wait, let me just ask this. Do you remember him saying that he had first plowed the area free of the Ford Edge? In other words, first passed in front of 34 Fairview around 2:30 in the morning? Does that sound right?
I believe his dispatch time for the plowing of the roads that evening was 2:30, but I would have to look at my report.
That's fine. And then it was sometime subsequent there too that he saw the Ford Edge in place, maybe an hour later.
Sounds about right again.
Okay. Did you take any investigative steps when you learned about this snowplow driver to determine who, if anyone, might have owned a Ford Edge associated with 34 Fairview?
Who, if anyone?
I did not know.
Did your investigation ever reveal that the Albert family actually had a Ford Edge at the time?
Yes.
I want to shift gears for a second to
Starting off with the
One
bang bang.
Meadows, if I could, and ring video evidence associated with One Meadows. You testified that on direct examination that there was no video from Ring at or around the time 12:36 a.m. When Miss Reed's SUV returned back to One Meadows. You remember that testimony?
Yes.
You did receive a search warrant returned from the Ring Corporation in furtherance of a search warrant executed by Trooper Proctor, correct? Former Trooper Proctor.
Evidence was returned by Ring, yes.
And in addition to the actual video recordings, there was also an activity log that was returned associated with that time and that location from the Ring Corporation, correct?
There was a key log identifying each video that was provided by the time and date when the video was recorded. It's not an activity log per se for the account. It's strictly a key describing the video, telling you what time the video was recorded.
During the entirety of your investigation, was there any evidence uncovered at all that Ms. Reed had accessed the account information associated with that Ring account?
No evidence could be provided by Ring documenting that activity.
Oh, thank you.
But there is evidence that someone had accessed the account through John O'Keefe's cell phone, correct?
I am not aware of that.
Are you aware that after John O'Keefe's cell phone was recovered by Massachusetts State Police, someone at Massachusetts State Police actually opened the Ring app on his cell phone?
Yes.
Who is the person who opened and accessed the Ring app on John O'Keefe's cell phone?
I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, right. Sure you aren't. Sure.
I have just a moment, Your Honor.
Sure. It was Proctor. We know it was Proctor. He doesn't want to say it.
Would it refresh your recollection to take a look at a report, perhaps?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
It's a good reminder to hit the like button, everyone, if you would, please.
If you could take a look at that 3-page report and tell me if that refreshes your recollection.
How's your Monday going, Yuri? At least you got a full weekend to rest up for the bloodbath that's going to be today. The barbecuing, the skewering, the slow roast. Wonder if he had anybody visit him over the weekend. Maybe he didn't knock on his door. Did he need 10 minutes to get ready? Call 5 people and then lie about it? Oh, no, sorry. That was Jennifer McCabe. Oh. Thank you, Sage. I've been saying all along it would be a good time to renew the motion to allow Michael Easter based on the fact that it's going to be impossible to cross-examine these witnesses into saying that they did a terrible investigation. I agree. Good morning, Debbie. Thanks for your super sticker. Eye patch. Hank getting desperate. Commonwealth's case in flames. Thank you.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
He did it already. Melanie Little's left swipe and
Sergeant,
stream
having
art is
looked
here.
at this report, does that refresh your recollection as to who may have accessed that Ring app?
Yes, that report is authored by Michael Proctor, and it says that investigators accessed the Ring application.
Thank you.
There you
I
go.
want to show you one other document, if I could.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've just handed you what purports to be the search warrant return for the Ring, from the Ring company, correct?
I got to take a look through all of it.
Of course. Take your time.
Please do. There's another report where I forget who wrote down, I reviewed the Ring video and it looks like it seems that Karen arrived home at such and such a time. Suspiciously, that video is missing. And all the trolls out there have been blaming Karen for deleting the Ring video. However, as you just heard this witness say, Proctor wrote a report that says that the investigators accessed the Ring app on John O'Keefe's phone, and you just can't make it up. That's where Bang Bang came from. Wonder 5. Somebody actually made a song. A Bang Bang song with sound bites from the first trial. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Sergeant. Have you had an opportunity to review that document?
I have.
Does it indicate that in addition to several other files, there is a login session report that was produced by the Ring Corporation as well? It's highlighted on that page?
Number 4 is highlighted with one Excel file containing login session information.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
And again, just to make sure I'm very clear about this, nothing from the Ring Corporation suggested or intimated that Ms. Reed actually accessed any of that Ring account information, correct?
The information provided did not indicate that, no.
Thank you. I want to ask you a couple of questions about your testimony on direct examination related to your trip to the hospital and your observation specific to Mr. O'Keefe's right arm. You indicated that you saw bruising on his right arm in addition to the abrasions, the parallel abrasions that you described.
We did
correct?
say that.
I believe bruising is very similar to abrasion.
Okay, that's my question. Can we, Your Honor, with the court's permission, can we show Exhibit 1? It's already been.
Oh, no. YouTube hates this picture.
Is this a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw in terms of the condition of Mr. O'Keefe's arm while at the hospital, if not?
I'm just taking it down for a second because YouTube hates it and they'll totally strike the stream for that. You've seen it. You can rewind it and look at it. You can still hear it though, right?
Did you see any
I
bruising
can't.
from the wrist to his shoulder?
No, just screwed it up again.
I saw exactly what's
the audio
depicted
come
there with the
through?
abrasions and lacerations.
Okay. You know what lividity is, correct?
I do.
Okay. Describe for the jurors what lividity is.
Lividity is the pooling of blood inside the body as a deceased individual
I
falls
can't blur it,
or
not on StreamYard
is
now.
positioned naturally with gravity. Blood begins to settle in the lowest portions of the body. If you're laying face down, it'd be your face. It also contours to the imprint or the force that's exerted on the body from below. If someone's deceased on TV remote control, you can see the remote control, the buttons underneath from the pressure.
So it's a bluish, purplish discoloration of the skin, not from an impact, but from the pooling of blood after the heart stops, correct?
That's correct.
Do you see an area at the upper arm that the skin looks discolored in addition to the abrasions that we see?
I'm sorry, I was looking at that one.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Yes. Right up toward the upper biceps, triceps area.
I see that area, yes.
Okay. Is that consistent with lividity rather than bruising?
I would not agree with that, no.
You believe that that's a bruise?
I believe that that's a laceration.
I'm sorry. I'm talking about the discoloration of the skin, the reddish purplish hue of the skin, separate and apart from the abrasion, from the abrasions or lacerations to the skin. The discoloration. Do you see that discoloration or no?
I do not know.
You do not?
I do not know.
Okay, we can take that down. As you sit here today, you're not suggesting that you saw bruising from the wrist to the shoulder on John O'Keefe's arm?
Nothing that stood out to me.
Okay.
I observed lacerations and abrasions.
All right, thank you. I want to shift gears one more time and ask you about your trip to Dighton and the seizure of the SUV. You testified that you seized the SUV somewhere, I think your testimony on direct examination was somewhere around 4:15, 4:17, something like that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Does 4:12 sound like it could be a reasonable time that SUV was actually seized in Massachusetts State Police custody?
It could be reasonable. I'd have to refer to the video evidence that, and then also the exact time that we advised the defendant that we are going to be seizing it. I guess it could be argued that that's when it was seized. Even we had the intent to seize it right there.
Right. Took the key fob, went outside, had a, had a tow truck driver actually put it onto the back of a flatbed. Ultimately, it was transported, correct?
Correct.
And you became aware at some point that there was video evidence. You just referenced it. Video evidence of that, I'm going to call it seizure process. Is that right?
Yes.
And that video evidence had a timestamp on it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You're also aware, as the supervisor of Michael Proctor, that he swore under oath in multiple affidavits in support of search warrants that the SUV was seized at 5:30 p.m., correct?
Yes.
And you knew at the time, because you were actually there, and you knew when the vehicle was seized, that stating under oath in an affidavit that it was 5:30 p.m. and not 4:12 p.m., that was a false statement, correct?
There's a discrepancy in time there. Yes.
Did you take any action, you yourself as a supervisor, did you take any action to correct that false or misleading state? Let me ask it a different way. Did you take any action to correct that time to the accurate time of 4:12 in any of the affidavits that you became aware of?
No, the actual time of the seizure through the video, we learned much later. So the approximate time, 5:30, although inaccurate, I did not take any action to correct it. No.
And
Yeah,
you
no big whoop.
received that video as a production from the defense. You did not have access to that video, correct?
Yes.
And so at the time that Michael Proctor actually wrote and drafted these affidavits and swore to them under oath, he did not know that a video existed, correct?
Objection.
Sustained, you have to word it differently.
Sure. At the time that you, let me ask it a different way. At the time that you reviewed his declarations under oath, you did not know that a video existed.
No, we did not know.
Yeah. Like we wouldn't have gotten caught if the Reeds didn't turn over their video to the defense.
If I may have just a moment, Your Honor.
5:30 time just would have been like, no big whoop, no biggie. Just lie on a search warrant. He never did anything about it because it wasn't important to him. The UK is here. Good morning, Trevor. Thank you for your super chat.
I want to ask you about something that was brought up on direct examination. Sustained findings as it pertains to you.
Internal
We've already
affairs.
talked about the fact that, Sergeant, you're a supervisor and we're a supervisor back in January of 2022 moving forward over Trooper Proctor, correct?
Yes.
Generally speaking, as a supervisor, your job is to properly and professionally supervise, show some authority over those in your charge. Is that right?
Yes.
Michael Proctor was, in fact, a trooper in your charge.
Yes.
And you would agree that your supervision has a direct impact on the character and quality of the subordinate investigators that you supervise.
Yes.
The whole point of having supervision and a chain of command is to establish a certain amount of, for lack of a better phrase, quality control of the subordinates.
Yes.
That would also include quality control over the subordinates' investigations.
Yes.
On August 17th, 2022, you were in a group text with the following individuals.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Proctor, Trooper Kukowski, a lieutenant named Fanning, and a trooper named DiCicco, D-I-C-I-C-C-O, correct?
Yes.
Do it. Do it.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
This is the August 17th 2022 text message chain among the troopers.
I'm handing you a document. Can you tell me if you recognize that document?
Thank you, Athena. And I don't remember my lies. Well, this will be the text message chain. Yuri, you've read it a million times. I'm sure you have it memorized. Can you do a dramatic reading for us today again? We so enjoyed the one on Friday. Rich Schiffer is here. Rubber Ducky Gate Man. Thank you, Rich, for your super sticker. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Midnight Mike, for gifting 5 memberships. And to those of you randomly selected by YouTube, welcome.
I recognize parts of it.
You saw that document on direct examination. I think you were shown the same document, correct?
It was different parts of it, but same. It's inclusive of within this document.
Okay.
There's more?
Let's start with this. You indicated that you did not see Michael Proctor's name on that document, correct?
Right, because they're his messages, I think. Chip. That was his nickname. Bear was also his nickname. Chip and Bear.
Correct. His name is not on here.
But you do recognize that as being reflective, accurately reflective of the text chain that you were on August 17th, 2022, that group chat.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to do this a little bit backward, but bear with me. You do see the name Kokowski, correct?
I do.
You do see the name Fanning, correct?
I do.
You do see the name DeChico, correct?
I do.
And you do see the name Bukhenik, correct?
No, it's misspelled, but I know they're probably referencing me.
Okay.
Proctor doesn't know how to
Only-
spell your name either.
Other texter, person texting on that chain is a code, a lengthy, almost like a URL code with no name, correct?
That'd be Proctor.
Yes, you're right.
And
Yes.
the only person that I didn't name, whose name I did not read off, it's obvious on that document, is Michael Proctor, correct?
Correct.
So deductive reasoning tells you that that is the code is Michael Proctor. Is that right?
I would agree with you, yes.
Okay. In that text
He knows
chain,
deductive reasoning.
it starts with Trooper DeChico sending a photograph, correct?
No.
May I approach?
Yes.
He knows lividity and deductive reasoning, but doesn't understand the word theory. Okay, let that sink in. Did you like my thumbnail where I put Webster's dictionary in Alan's hands? So creative sometimes.
You turn to page 2683, please.
Thank you, VDC. And Jamie, thank you.
Do you see a photograph there?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Fair enough. There were some texts between and among the group that preceded this photograph, correct?
Yes.
I want to start on this date, August 17, 2022, with this photograph. This photograph was sent by Trooper DeChico to the group, correct?
At least it's not a nude. Don't worry. No nudes yet. Hi, Jessica and your Nan in Manchester, UK. I think so. I think he's going to have to read them. Thank you. Sorry, I don't remember my lies.
It
And June Rivers.
possibly appears that way. I really can't. I mean,
Your Honor, with the
Yes.
court's permission, I'm not sure this document has been marked. I'd like to have this marked and
Sure,
admitted.
we'll mark it for ID.
Sure.
I'd actually like to have it marked and admitted. There's certain things I'd like to show.
Yeah. Let's show it all.
Question on that?
I have no objection to admission, but not in this form. It needs to be redacted.
Well, there must be phone numbers on it.
Can you do it?
What I intend to do, I can do with one photograph. If I may have a moment with counsel.
Okay.
Do you think Do you think Yuri is mad that he now knows that Proctor spelled his name wrong in his phone? He's probably so mad. Let's see if he turns on Proctor now due to the misspelling. Thank you, James. You only watch cross-examinations for now? Then you're missing the whole, most of the fun. Thank you so much for your super chat.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'd like to publish just one page of what's been marked for identification. I'm sorry, I would ask that it be marked, the entire document be marked for identification.
Yeah, I wonder how he spelled it. I don't know.
And with the court's permission, I would ask to display or to publish page 2683 of that document.
So are you admitting into evidence, page 263?
I would.
Do you
just-
have a separate one rather than tearing it out of what's been marked for
I can-
identification?
I can take it out of this copy.
Boy, Bev, the struggle bus is real on Monday morning, isn't it? A lot of traffic coming home from the Cape. Is that why we started at 10 today, Your Honor?
Redact it before it's admitted, please.
It's been redacted.
Exhibit 116.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Kelly, they wanted a mid-testimony voir
So we're
dire.
talking about the same thing.
They didn't get it.
I've just
Thank
handed you
you.
a page that's been marked Exhibit 116. Do you recognize that as being a copy of one of the multiple pages in the document that you're holding that's been marked for identification as FF?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if we could publish that single page, please.
Okay.
Is that a photograph that was sent by Trooper DeChico to the group?
According to this document, yes.
Who is depicted in that photograph?
Come back to your screen. I just want to take the captions off for a second. This is David Yannetti. It's a picture of David Yannetti, and it says the big story. David Yannetti, criminal defense attorney. And then there's a chyron underneath it that probably has nothing to do with the picture of David Yannetti, but this is the picture that Proctor sent to the group, including his supervisor.
Photograph that was sent by Trooper DeChico.
Actually, it was DeChico who sent
the
the
group.
photo. Okay, DeChico sent the photo to the group, and then Proctor responds.
According to this document, yes.
Who is depicted in that photograph?
The big story, Mr. David Yannetti, criminal defense attorney.
Do you see that person in court?
Yes, I do.
Where is he seated and what is he wearing?
He's seated right there wearing a blue tie and a dark suit, white shirt.
Thank you. We could bring the lights up, Your Honor.
Okay.
In response to, and going back to the multi-page document FF, in response to Trooper DeChico's photograph that he sent to the group, you responded to that photograph, did you not?
Yes, this document indicates so, yes.
And you responded by laughing at it, correct?
That's what it says, yes.
Well, that's what it says, or that's what you did?
I don't remember.
Ha.
Trooper Proctor then, former Trooper Proctor, Michael Proctor, then responded, correct?
That's what it says here, yes.
And he responded to the group, funny, I'm going through his retarded client's phone, correct?
That's what it says, yes.
Michael Proctor then responded again. Is that right?
Yes.
He wrote, no nudes so far, correct?
Mhm.
That's what it says, yes.
Michael Proctor responded yet again. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yes, you did hear that right. To his group of fellow troopers, Michael Proctor said, funny, I'm going through his retarded client's phone. No nudes so far. This is one of the many reasons he is no longer a state trooper. He was dishonorably discharged because of his bias in the Karen Reed case, in the murder investigation of John O'Keefe. Disgusting.
Correct?
And in reference to Mr. Yannetti's photograph, he wrote, "I hate that man. I truly hate him." Correct?
That's what it says.
There's a trooper by the name of Moore, M-O-O-R-E, correct?
There is.
And he disliked Trooper Proctor's phrase, his statement, "no nudes so far," correct?
That's what it says.
Did that indicate to you that Moore was disappointed that Trooper Proctor, Michael Proctor, had not found naked pictures of Miss Reed as yet?
I don't know what that indicated for Mr. Moore.
And then
How many other clients, how many other defendants' phones do you think these guys have gone through looking for nudes? Nobody seemed to be surprised by it. Just a little thumbs down emoji, a little ha-ha emoji. Whereas Buchanan read in the text messages on Friday, ha, ha. To hating David Yannetti. Seems awfully personal for Michael Proctor, doesn't it? And remember, this was in August of 2022, after Karen Reed's charges were upgraded to murder 2 in June, 2 months later. How many other women have they done this to? All of them? Just a question. Asking for a friend.
you responded to the phrase, "funny, I'm going through his retarded client's phone," correct?
I acknowledged that text message being sent.
You acknowledged it by liking it, correct? With a thumbs up.
I acknowledged it by responding with a thumbs up emoji.
The fact is, Trooper Proctor told you, his supervisor, in this series of text messages, that he was going through Miss Reed's phone. Is that right?
Correct.
And he also informed you, his supervisor, that he was going through her phone looking for nudes or naked pictures of her on her phone, correct?
Mm-hmm. You're his supervisor.
He did not tell me that he was going through naked pictures, for naked pictures through the phone.
He wrote, "no nudes so far," right?
That is what is written, yes.
What did you think he was looking for when he wrote that phrase?
I don't know what he was looking for.
What would be a reasonable interpretation of what Michael Proctor was looking for when he wrote, "no nudes so far"?
I don't know.
Motorcycles, handbags, pair of shoes, or naked pictures of Miss Karen Reed?
His mission was to go through the phone to look for digital evidence that's related to the crime. The fact that he wrote "no nude so far," I cannot comment on.
Yes, you
You
can.
cannot comment on, or you don't want to comment on.
I don't know what he was looking for in that specific time.
You certainly did
Liar.
nothing. You took no action to stop him from potentially looking for naked pictures of my client, correct?
That's correct.
In fact, last week you testified that in your view, Michael Proctor handled himself in this investigation with integrity.
An
That's
honor.
what you said,
And
correct?
honor.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Do you stand by that testimony?
The investigation was handled with integrity and honor.
Wow.
Do you stand by your testimony that Michael Proctor conducted himself during the course of this investigation with integrity?
Yes, I do.
Wow. You're
He
going
also
to,
called her retarded, correct?
That is what's written.
That's what's written? That's a very passive way of saying it, Sergeant. That's what's written, or that's what he wrote?
That's what he wrote.
okay, this really is the hill that he wants to die on, that Michael Proctor conducted this investigation with integrity and honor. Because why? Because you were his supervisor and it's on you that you didn't discipline him or say that's inappropriate. And you guys never thought that this text message chain was going to see the light of day. But oh, wow, too bad, so sad, because the feds got involved and they found this. How many other women defendants are out there sitting in jail or prison in Norfolk County? You better, who knows? Who knows? Did they look through? Because he also, Proctor was involved in the investigation of the murder of Anna Walsh. Brian Walsh is in jail awaiting trial in this same courthouse, unless they move to change venue, which I'm not sure about. Anna Walsh is a beautiful woman. Her body's never been found. Do you think that when Michael Proctor got a hold of Anna Walsh's cell phone or Brian Walsh's cell phone, that he also looked for nudes? How much money would you bet on that? Disgusting. That's integrity and honor, according to the Massachusetts State Police Supervisor Sergeant that you're listening to right now. I hope this blasts all over Twitter and Massachusetts State Police is tagged, because they think this is an honorable way to conduct an investigation into the murder of a fellow brother in blue. Listen to that again.
Do you stand by that testimony?
The investigation was handled with integrity and honor.
Disgusting.
Do you stand by your testimony that Michael Proctor conducted himself during the course of this investigation with integrity?
Yes, I do.
He
Boy,
also called her retarded, correct?
That is what's written.
That's what's written? That's a very passive way of saying it, Sergeant. That's what's written, or that's what he wrote?
That's what he wrote.
And that's what you read.
I have no memory of reading that.
Oh.
I acknowledged him going through the phone on my Apple Watch. I have no memory of him writing retarded on a text message.
really?
And you'll agree that that is one of the most vile and insensitive and incendiary terms one could use in modern society. Retarded, correct?
That is correct.
And in fact, through your response to that vile phrase, you encouraged it because you liked it with a thumbs up, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you encourage that statement by Michael Proctor by liking it with a thumbs up?
I don't know if it encouraged him, but so I cannot speak to
But
that.
that's what you did.
I acknowledged the text message being sent.
I want to be clear. These text messages were sent to you by your direct report, by your direct subordinate, correct?
That's correct.
And there was even someone on that text chain who was more senior than you, Lieutenant Fanning, right?
Mhm.
That's correct.
Michael Proctor was both your partner and the lead investigator on this case when he wrote that, correct?
He's a subordinate, and he was the case officer.
This thread, text thread, contains communications between a subordinate, the person you call the case officer. By the way, let me ask you another question. Did you ever, during the course of the investigation in which you were a part, the sustained findings, the internal affairs investigation, did you ever review Colonel Noble's determinations about your subordinate, Michael Proctor?
Objection.
Did you review them?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
BS. He's your, really? You're his supervisor. You didn't review the internal affairs report that fired him and dishonorably
What would
discharged
Colonel
him?
Noble
Liar.
Call Michael Proctor's title in this case? You think he'd call him the case officer or the lead investigator? What is your experience with Massachusetts State Police in that regard?
Objection.
Sustained.
We looked at it Friday. They called him the lead investigator in his termination papers. They absolutely did. You guys pointed it
Notwithstanding
out.
the fact that a subordinate was on this text chain and a supervisor to you. Was Lieutenant Fanning one of your supervisors?
Yes,
Notwithstanding the fact that a subordinate was on this text chain and one of your supervisors was on this text chain, you felt comfortable enough within this group of law enforcement to actually like when the subordinate refers to a suspect as retarded, correct?
I acknowledge the text message with a thumbs up emoji.
Do you believe that? Well, let me ask you another question, a predicate question. You were also comfortable enough with that text chain to receive information that your subordinate was looking for naked pictures on a suspect's phone, a woman, no less. Correct? You took no remedial action against Trooper Proctor for that. Correct?
No, I did not. No.
Face.
Do you believe, as you sit here, that that was a misuse of power and authority by a Massachusetts state police officer?
Great question. Great question.
By myself or
No,
somebody else?
by Michael Proctor.
Misuse of what?
Misuse of authority and power to go through a suspect's phone, to get her phone using the authority and the power vested in that officer by the community members. That's the power that you've derived, correct? You work for the public. Would you agree?
Sustained.
Do you believe it was a misuse of his authority and power to use Massachusetts State Police Authority to go through her phone and look for naked pictures of her?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you believe it was a misuse of authority or power to go through her phone and potentially look for nudes?
Objection.
Sustained.
Why is it sustained? If you're not going to let him have an expert, he needs to be able to ask. You said that it was okay for him to cross-examine the witnesses to get at the improper police procedure, the misuse of authority and power. You said, Judge, that it was okay for him to cross-examine the witnesses, but now it's not okay for him to cross-examine the witnesses anymore. You're not going to let him ask the questions, but you denied the expert, Michael Easter. Okay, got it. The fix is in.
Let me ask it differently. Did you think his text was appropriate?
I don't remember reading that text.
As you
So
sit here now, do you think that text is appropriate?
no, it is not.
Do you think it's professional?
No, it is not.
Do you think it shows integrity?
That text message does not show integrity.
Do you think it shows honor? A word I expect you hold dear.
That text message does not show honor.
On October 15th, 2022, you completed a performance review of Michael Proctor, correct?
That's correct.
That was after the messages, October.
Specifically, you were asked to rank his, quote, oral and written communication skills, end quote, correct?
Correct.
That's part of an overall evaluation and performance review. Is that right?
Yes, overall 90-day quarterly annual review.
You were specifically asked to rank whether he effectively would whether members, your subordinates, would effectively communicate with others, both within and outside the department, in oral and written form, correct?
That's correct.
And you rated him as exceptional,
Oh,
a number 4 rating
Of
out
course
of
he
5,
did.
correct?
That's correct.
You actually went on to write and comment on Michael Proctor, and you wrote, quote, Trooper Michael Proctor displays professional demeanor, composure, dignity, and respect during the performance of his duties, and especially during his interactions with the public.
Oh.
This is seen during interviews with witnesses, suspects, as well as victims and their families, end quote. That was a statement you wrote about Michael Proctor, correct?
That is correct.
And this is after the text chain that we've just been talking about, where he calls Miss Reed retarded and references looking for nude photographs of her, correct?
That is correct.
Was your statement in that evaluation true or false?
It was true.
Well, then you've
You
got
knew Michael Proctor's proclivities, obviously.
proclivity is a great word. You, sir, have terrible judgment, and nobody should believe anything you say from here on out. You see what he's doing? He is totally, the jury, I'm sure the jury's picking it up. Really? You gave him a glowing third quarter review in October after you received these messages from him in August that you claim you didn't see or read because number one, you're not paying attention to what your guys are doing, even though you're the supervisor. And number two, you give him a glowing review in October. Wow. Your judgment is piss poor. As if it wasn't already obvious on Friday, it's really coming out now. His proclivities. Hold on. He says that was an accurate review. 4 out of 5. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you take 1 point off for looking for nudes? Got it. And calling the defendant retarded? Got it.
Was your statement in that evaluation true or false?
It was true.
You knew Michael Proctor's proclivities, obviously. He told them to you, correct?
The term proclivities, what
You
does that mean?
knew
Get out the Websters.
what he tended to do, what he wanted to do through his own comments, to look for nudes on a woman's phone, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
You were aware, sir, that he had received evidence in a case, evidence that doesn't belong to him, belongs to the Massachusetts State Police, at least at that point, correct? The cell phone.
I was aware that he received a cell phone, yes.
And he used that power and the authority to go through that cell phone and look for nudes of my client, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
During the same course of your evaluation, you were also asked to evaluate his investigative ability, correct?
That's correct.
You rated him the highest standard in the Massachusetts State Police.
Wow.
Outstanding, a 5.
Outstanding
That's correct.
investigative skills.
And you went on to write about Michael Proctor in the commentary below that rating to justify it. Is that right?
That is accurate, yes.
You wrote, quote, Trooper Proctor has had a high-profile caseload with a lot of eye and pressure from external sources during the first day of the investigation.
Who's pressuring him?
He handled himself and all the case with utmost professionalism and competence. He is able to investigate his case thoroughly and with strict integrity, end quote. Correct?
Which quarterly review was this?
This is the same one, October 2022.
Who was pressuring him on day one of the investigation?
Is that
Anyone?
right? Those are your comments.
That sounds very accurate. I just was not sure which quarterly review that was for.
Are there more? Let's do them all.
Professionalism.
Yes,
You believe that he acted in accordance with the highest standards of professionalism?
during his 90-day performance, yes.
And you didn't just say he displayed professionalism. You said utmost professionalism, correct?
Yes.
Utmost professionalism.
Competence. Do you
Yeah.
believe he displayed competence?
Yes.
And not just in integrity, but he conducted himself, as you put it, with strict integrity. Is that right?
That is correct.
Maybe he doesn't understand the definition of the word integrity because, you know, English is like his third language, right? Ask him the definition of integrity. Pull out the Webster's. He would have been better off saying, I didn't fill that out. Someone filled it out for me. I just signed it. I didn't read it. But now he's got to stand by every 5 out of 5 that he gave that Proctor SOB. It's like a kid's report card. And you mean to tell me that these guys don't cover for each other? Think again.
Did it show integrity in your view when your subordinate Michael Proctor called Miss Reed retarded?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Did you forget that he said that?
I believe that as a U.S. citizen, he has the right to comment. That's his First Amendment right. We uphold the Constitution.
Clip
and
this.
It's unfortunate, unprofessional what he said in the private text message communication. He might have been voicing his frustrations. I cannot speak for Michael Proctor. It is unprofessional and unfortunate that he said that.
This was
We believe in the First Amendment. And yet you, sir, you are a victim of Aiden Carney, who is facing felony charges for intimidating you with what? His words? And yet you just said that you believe in the First Amendment and people's right to criticize. Roll that back and someone have Aiden, he's probably watching it anyway. Clip it, show it. How can you can't use it as a shield and a sword, Yuri. You can't say, I back Michael Proctor because he's allowed to say whatever he wants because we believe in the First Amendment and he shouldn't say it, but he's allowed to. And then come into court and wham, 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 that you're intimidated by Aiden Carney and his writings of you. Wow, that was gold. We're going to hear it again.
Did it show integrity in your view when your subordinate Michael Proctor called Miss Reed retarded?
Objection.
I'll allow that one.
I believe that as a U.S. citizen, he has the right to comment. That's his First Amendment right. We uphold the Constitution, and it's unfortunate, unprofessional what he said in the private text message communication. He might have been voicing his frustrations. I cannot speak for Michael Proctor.
You can't make it
is
up.
Unprofessional and unfortunate that he said that.
This was not, Sergeant Buchanan, a private text message conversation. This was with his boss and 4 or 5 other individuals, one of whom was your boss, correct?
Correct.
Oh, and Richard Schiffer too. Let's talk about Richard Schiffer. You believe in the First Amendment and people being able to criticize and comment as much as they want. And somebody just pointed out, is he the one who arrested Richard Schiffer for putting little tiny rubber ducks around town that had stickers on the bottom that said Colin did it, or Colin, depending on who you listen to, and some other little stickers that said IYKYK? You arrested him? Did he arrest him? But you believe in the First Amendment and people's right to criticize? Wow, that's rich. That's rich. Oh my gosh, like the pun? Richard Schiffer. I can't believe it. I'm hearing either. What a hole he just dug himself into. Well done, sir. Well done. Those rubber ducks sure were scary, weren't they? He doesn't have the right to say that, though, does he? If you know, you know. Or Colin did it. There's no First Amendment right there. You did trash pulls at this guy's house. Took his Toyota tech stream data to prove that he was in the area where some of these little tiny rubber ducks were found across the street from D&E Pizza, owned by Chris Albert. Wow, you guys sure do have selective persecution of your laws. And the First Amendment only applies to your subordinate troopers. Got it. Got it. Not regular citizens, though, right? Norfolk County, my heart bleeds for you. Sell your house and get out. Get out now.
Was your boss, correct?
Correct.
This was a communication intended for and received by members of his unit in furtherance of his investigative authority, correct?
It was amongst members of the unit.
He was updating his boss about what he was doing in furtherance of the investigation, going through her phone, correct?
No, I would disagree with you on that. This was a group chain, text message chain that we were discussing private matters in our personal lives.
Private matters, including going through Miss Reed's phone?
That's private?
That is unfortunately shared that on that group text.
So in other words, to the public, he holds one face in private conversations with you and your colleagues within the unit. He shows a completely different face, private face, correct?
Objection.
You said that you believe that he has a constitutional right, a First Amendment right,
Go for it.
to call Miss
Do it.
Reed a suspect in his official investigation, in his official capacity as a Massachusetts state trooper, to call her retarded? That's your justification?
Objection.
Do
He
you
said-
justify
He said that.
his statement, that vile statement?
I do not know.
Do you think it's appropriate, given the fact that he has a First Amendment right to say whatever he wants?
No, I do not.
Oh, now you're changing your testimony? Were you lying then or are you lying now?
Do you think there actually might be members of the community, parents, siblings,
Objection.
children?
Mr. Jackson, I'm going to exclude that question as argumentative. Move on.
Really?
You wrote in your report, if I may have a moment, Your Honor, you wrote in your report about his conduct. He shows composure, dignity, and respect during the performance of his duties, and especially during his interactions with the public. He has a duty to the public, to the community that he serves, correct?
Yes, he does.
Just like you have a duty to the public and the community that you serve. Is that right?
That is correct.
Do you think community members might take offense to the use of the
Objection.
word retarded?
Sustained. It's argumentative again, Mr. Jackson. Please don't do that.
Those are his words. Interesting how she points out the grounds for the objection when she wants to help the Commonwealth.
He didn't just put it, that derogatory comment. He didn't just put it, or he didn't just say it, correct? You talked about the First Amendment.
Objection.
Sustained.
I'm not finished with my question,
Yeah,
if I could.
yeah.
All right, so just ask a question.
Maybe you let him finish his question before you give your little boy there mommy help. Hanky needs a binky. I forgot to make a binky emoji, but I need to. Really? You're ruling on the objection before he's even finished with his question. This is the way it works. Yeah, this is the way it works in Massachusetts, everyone.
He didn't just put it, that derogatory comment. He didn't just put it, or he didn't just say it, correct? You talked about the First Amendment.
Objection.
Sustained.
I'm not finished with my question, if I could.
All right, so just ask a question.
Sure.
No comments first, okay?
Thanks, Ellen.
My question is, did he just say the word, or did he go further than just saying it?
Objection.
Okay, we've gone through this. Move on, please.
The fact is,
There's a woman facing
Sergeant,
life
you put
in
it in
prison.
writing.
There's a woman facing life in prison, Your Honor. Let him ask the goddamn questions, okay? Okay? It's not about a fair trial for the Commonwealth. Karen Wright has a constitutional right. Karen Reed has a constitutional right to a fair trial. Thank you, Valoma, for your very generous 50. For all who have been backed into a corner like Karen Reed, wipe the floor with him, AJ. Well, no, because the judge won't allow it, because it's too argumentative. But even though this witness believes in the First Amendment and everyone's right to express their opinion, he's a victim of Aiden Carney for witness intimidation. Yeah, it's a felony. Every corner drag. Thank you, Valoma. Appreciate you so very much. You're watching this in real time.
the fact is, Sergeant, you put it in writing and you liked it, correct?
You liked it, didn't you?
I acknowledge the text message. I never saw the vile term.
You don't go back and read your text later? Calla Lily, you too are super generous. Love you, girl. Thank you for your 50.
Your Honor, may we approach it just very briefly for a scheduling issue?
Okay, jurors, feel free to stand up and stretch.
When you use your phone to conduct your private phone to conduct company business or public business, and you happen to be employed by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, guess what? It all becomes discoverable. Michael Marcy apparently didn't know that because he too was using a burner email, maybe a burner phone to communicate with people regarding the Karen Reed case and the Aiden Carney case, thus making his, Michael Marcy, the district attorney's communications also discoverable. We haven't even heard about those yet. Well, they're on the fan. They needed to talk about scheduling in the middle of the cross-examination of one of the most important witnesses in this case. It's a long one. We might even get to real time. Yeah, the group chat is the only thing that Tully's not in. Thank you, Melissa says, Hey Mel, Karen's car was at Meadows until she got out of the hospital. Someone could have damaged the taillight then. Footprints around the car in ring cam. I haven't heard anyone else suggest this. Anything's possible, Melissa. Absolutely could have been. Absolutely could have been. Are there any videos from that time period? Probably not. I'll bet no. But yes, thank you for tuning in from Australia. People have suggested that in the past during the first trial, but we haven't really brought it up here in this chat. So thank you for doing that, for bringing it up. Julia, could the FBI be watching this, watching all testimony and using it against him later? Could the, yes, absolutely. I have an inkling that they just might be. I have no inside information, but it seems like common sense, right? I mean, in my opinion, absolutely. They're always watching. Navy, Pearl, are you going to cover Lisk? I have been covering it at length. I've been to court several times for ex-Herman. Can I email? You can email me at any time. My email is in the show notes below. I don't respond to all emails, but I do read them when I can. I've been inundated the past couple of days, but there is nothing on that case that can be televised. So I go to court when I can and report on it when I can. If you have any court documents, I would love for you to send them to me because they're also very difficult to get, despite the fact that I am a New York attorney barred in New York. It's hard to get the documents. So if you've got any of the motion papers regarding the DNA, I'd love them. If anybody has them, feel free to shoot them to me. JR18, and there's no trial date in sight for Rex Heuermann right now anyway. JR1822, never made sense why Karen would delete these ring videos, but leave the one where you can clearly see her right rear taillight, AKA the murder weapon. Absolutely. Agreed. Thank you. Victoria, 3 generations together watching with you today. Oh, that's awesome. Oldest generation born and raised in Canton. Oh, we love you. We love you too. Hello to Victoria and her whole entire family, all 3 generations. Patriotic. I don't know if she's here today, but has also a family group text every morning where they share the stream out. And I love that for you guys. Thanks for being here. Roasted bean. Yuri's in a Schmucker's jam now. You can't make it up. If we weren't watching it together, you'd never believe it if somebody tried to tell you this. Toodly Pip says lots of Brits in the room today. Thank you, watching from London. Thank you. To all of my friends across the pond, private info, thanks for your 20. Sheesh. Well, we have 7,300 likes now, but there are 22,000 watching, so that's only about a third. I think we could do better. A lot of people forget when they come in, but it's kind of like, you know, wiping your feet off at the mat. Thank you very much, private info, for your super chat and for reminding our friends to please hit the like button. It pushes the stream out to other people. It makes it easier to find. Cake or Death says, I bet Jen McCabe called him the misspelled name on the stand. Oh, last time. No, that was Julie. That was Julie Albert who did that. Because she only ever heard Proctor call him that. I'm guessing Sergeant B didn't know until last week. I don't know. Or today when he was shown those messages. That's a great point. Thank you for your 10. Thank you, Nurse Kimberly from the Sunflower State. I'm unable to send memberships, so here's a super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you for your compliments. And you love being here with all of us, and we love having you here. Thank you, Nurse Kimberly, for your 20. Queen Frosty. Proctor was giving frat boy behaviors. So were the rest of these clowns. Not proud of my state's law enforcement. No, and apparently he believes that this was Michael Proctor handled this investigation with integrity and honor, despite the fact that he just had to read those text messages. And I think it's because he gave him such a glowing third quarter review. He can't walk away from it now because he signed the papers. It's disgusting. It's revolting. And we're here. And I want to know what the jury's faces look like. I'm Cora, not Chloe. David Reese, changing your name weekly. He doesn't know the meaning of integrity and honor. English is his third language. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He should have. I hope that Alan Jackson has a Webster's dictionary at the ready so that he can pull it out, read the definition of integrity to him, because he doesn't know a lot of definitions. John O'Keefe's Missing Socks is here and says must see TV, 100%. Thank you. Bruni Saint from Australia. If Proctor acted with integrity, why was he given a dishonorable discharge? Yep, he's getting to it. He's getting to it. Thank you. Lena, thanks for spending the day with me, too. Also sharing the day with me. Thank you, Lena, for your super chat. Bev is misusing her authority, says Chloe Albert's Revenge. Abacus Flinch, welcome to the Michael Proctor Show. Yuri, hope you're having fun. Yeah. It's insane. They're still at sidebar about scheduling. Becky, to go through Karen's phone without a legal warrant. You think that's okay, sir? Well, this was in August of 2022. So I think that's when they did have the warrant. Cannot be sure when they got the warrant, but this is many months later, remember? They also, in their report, the report that they rendered when they went to Dighton, they said that they watched Karen put her password in the phone. So this is the first time he went through her phone, but this was in August. He was going through her phone, looking for nudes and hating David Yannetti. And why did DeChico send a photo of David Yannetti? It must have been a topic of conversation in their private text email, the private text change where they discuss their private business. Queen Frosty, with all due respect to the honorable Marines, but why is Yuri representing Semper Lie instead of Semper Fi? Well done. I see what you did there. Nothing like clown cops, says Big Hoss. Charles Cochran, thank you for your super sticker. Navy Pearl. No, he can bring up Michael Proctor being fired. This was earlier at 11. Well, that was at 11:07. It's 11:27. He can. He's been dishonorably discharged. It's been brought up several times. So I don't know if you've been watching here with us for the whole trial, unless you've been somewhere else, but he's brought it up several times. And it is fair game. Becky, and thank you for your super chat. Move over, Proctor. I'm going to join you on the job search. Well done. And Becky gifted 5 memberships. So welcome to all of the randomly gifted new members today, including B. Crumbs. Thank you. Candace, can we please add River of Deceit by Mad Season to the playlist? Thank you so much. Watch from Kansas City. Kansas City. Thank you, Candace. I usually go back at the end at some point when I have a time to look over the stream and make the additions to the playlist. We have a Karen Reed mixed trial playlist. Karen Reed mixed tape trial playlist on Spotify. It's linked below the show. It's got something like 9.5 hours of music on it and something like 125 or more songs that we've been adding to since the first trial because I think in song lyrics. And so do many of you. Denise Michelle, thank you so much for your 20. This is beyond infuriating. We are outraged. We have an emoji for that. We are outraged emoji. It's one of my favorites. That was part of David Yannetti's opening in the first persecution. Karen Reed. B. Crumbs gifted 5 memberships. Wow, thank you. You joined yourself and then you gifted 5 memberships. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you. Appreciate you. On top, U.S. citizen that needs a Webster's Dictionary and protection from a turtle. Surely you jest. Thank you. On top, Charles Cochran. Why can't they have a CSI professional come in and explain to the jury how badly this case was screwed up? I don't understand that. Please explain now. Why can't they have? Well, that is because the judge denied it. They had an expert. His name is Michael Easter. He's a very highly regarded expert witness in such things as FBI procedures and protocol, state police procedures and protocol, proper investigation techniques, proper forensic techniques, and the Commonwealth made a motion to exclude him, and the judge granted the motion to exclude him. And her reasoning was that the everyday juror should understand proper police procedure, and if they don't, well, you can just cross-examine the law enforcement witnesses that the Commonwealth produces to get into how bad the investigation was. But now she's not allowing him to ask about how bad the investigation was. All those objections are being sustained. And also, none of these law enforcement witnesses are willing to admit that. You also saw Paul Gallagher come in. He's retired now. He plays a lot of golf based on his tan. And he's got nothing to lose now because he's retired with his pension. So no big whoop. Bring him in to talk about how great an idea it was to get a leaf blower on the scene to blow away the snow and also contaminate all the blood evidence with the gas from the leaf blower. But he didn't know that. He thought it was a great idea. He thought the solo cups were also a great idea. So the cross-examination thing isn't really working out. And it's been my opinion that they may need to renew their motion to bring in Michael Easter because clearly even a blind man can see what's going on here. They are never, ever, ever going to admit how crappy their investigation was. Thank you, Dan Peters, for your appreciation of my dedication and your $20 bill and for thanking me. I thank you for being here. Piney Woods, thanks for your 20. Where I practiced, cross-examinations were often argumentative. It's cross-examination. Yes, it is the nature of the beast, isn't it? No, not here in Norfolk County, where if you're mean to Yuri or say mean things about him, you can be charged with a felony, apparently. Why is she sustaining Spanky's objections? Already I'm screaming. Yes, and that was at 11:25. It is now 11:31. Thank you for being here. Another recovering attorney in the chat. Thank you, Becky, for your all caps comment, which I will not read aloud, but thank you so very much. Nixon 3191, YURY preaching about the First Amendment is like Ted Bundy preaching about the sanctity of life. Well done. The snark tank is on fire this morning. Thanks for your super chat. Chloe Albers Revenge. First Amendment is a cop-out. When you sign up for a job such as state trooper, you don't have the right to those things while on duty in the same way. Thank you. They are held to, they're supposed to be held to a higher standard, you know? They're supposed to, but YURY Bukhenik, when he was investigated by Internal Affairs for his lack of supervision over his subordinate, Michael Proctor, his slap on the wrist was losing 5 vacation days. 5 vacation days that were already accrued, and he probably has hundreds in the bank, so that's how much punishment he got. Sergeant Boo Quack Quack, my family has been in New England for 400 years. I'm not letting the corrupt MSP make me leave. I will fight like Karen is. Good luck, sis. Good luck. Thank you so much for your super chat. I'm joking. Queen Frosty is a bevy, says a bevy of bias. Thank you. Sue O'Connell is saying the jurors look angry during all this. Oh, that's interesting. And Sue O'Connell has been, I mean, at least in the beginning, she was a bit anti-Karen Reed, right? Correct me, Chad, if I'm wrong. She's an independent journalist. She's a commentator. She calls herself not a, she says commentator, not a reporter, NBC 10 Boston. Let's see what she says. Her latest tweet. We're still at sidebar, so we're not missing anything. We're in real time. She said 19 minutes ago that right before they went on to the sidebar, she said, I think all the jurors have stern looks on their faces. I'd say a couple look almost angry. One juror kept her eyes on Bukhenik during much of the last segment of the cross. And then she wrote recess. So I don't know if they took a recess 20 minutes ago. If they sent the jury out, we're still here. We're still waiting. So I don't know. I don't know why he's taking the fall for Proctor. I don't get it. Let's see if she's got any other notes on the jurors here before we move on. When they put up the Yannetti picture, one juror is looking at Yannetti. Jackson reads the text with the R word. The same juror who reacted the first time, it was said in court, reacts again. He has a tense look on his face. We're going backwards in time here in our tweets. That's interesting. They're angry. They're out. Maybe the jury's outraged. Thank you, Kaylee, for bringing that up. Carrie. Arizona to Michigan last week, met an antique store owner listening to you in a tiny town in northern Michigan. Oh, that's so cool. We had the best bonding experience thanks to you. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Thank you. Group chat is the only thing that Tully isn't in, says Chip the taillight baby. Edmund says that Bev is still upset the defense tried having her recused. Oh my gosh, that was so long ago, remember? That was 2 years ago, probably by now. Julie, YURY believes in the First Amendment. Does he also believe every defendant gets a fair trial? That's a great question to follow up with. Carolyn, thanks for your super sticker. Stevie, Kel, integrity, the state of being whole and undivided. Thank you for the Webster's definition. June says, why is there snow under John O'Keefe? No snow plus warm body equals no snow. Didn't Carrie Roberts testify that there was grass under his body? I thought she did. So I'm not sure what you mean. Yeah. Oh, is today the full moon? Oh, it's full moon Monday. Anybody else feeling the full moon vibes? Jennifer says the prosecution objects because Turtle Boy cannot answer for Proctor. Why then? Oh, you mean Trooper Bukhenik. The prosecution objects because Trooper Bukhenik cannot answer for Proctor. Why then does Trooper Bukhenik allowed to answer, we did this or that? Well, he's trying to narrow it down. Every time he says we, he wants to know only what he did. Thank you, Jennifer, for your super chat. Yeah, it is a full moon, eh? Sue B. Could the defense call Trooper Paul in their case and use the time to point out the inconsistencies of his accident reconstruction and what the prosecution is claiming in their case? Yes. The defense is going to put on a more robust defense, much more robust defense. This time around, they have a much longer witness list. The combined witness list is 150 names. Anybody who's on that list who is not called by the Commonwealth can be called by the defense. 100%. Thank you. Thank you, Al Cool. I just found that. And we went to Sue O'Connell's Twitter. Many blessings to you. My Ring camera has skipped full days. Thanks for all that you do. Yeah, if your battery dies, right? It can do that. But here, the videos around the time frame before and after were all found. It was the ones in the middle that were not found, that were deleted. And as he gets into that report of another trooper who looked at the Ring footage, all of a sudden that video went missing. The one of Karen returning home at a certain time, because may have shown her taillight intact. Thank you for thanking me. Here is Bianch 414. I don't understand why he hasn't been fired. He got punished. He took away 5 accrued vacation days. I mean, what do you want from them? Joke. Roxy, thanks for your 20. Been listening to your stream through an earbud while I massage my clients. Don't get angry. They're really getting a deep tissue massage when you get angry, right? It's hard not to chuckle when giving your feedback. Oh, that's so funny. Also, shout out to my friend Amber, who got me hooked on this trial. Thanks for your dedication. Roxy, Amber, thanks, Amber, for getting Roxy into this. And please, I like a deep tissue massage myself, but I can imagine how the pressure gets deeper the angrier you get, which could be a good thing for your massage clients, I guess. Everybody got promotions, Pure Decory, you're right. So true. Yuri's Rosetta Stone Fund. Erin Ashley says, your son is autistic, or Yuri's son is autistic. This is deplorable. Should I just tell my kids they can call others derogatory remarks at leisure, as it is their First Amendment right? No. Nope. I know that's a rhetorical question, but he's abhorrent. Higgins Orange Jumpsuit gifted 1 membership. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Trevor Fagan, there is no First Amendment right when you're in your capacity as law enforcement public servant. Thanks. But he said they were their private messages in which they would discuss their own personal problems. Doesn't that get them off the hook? Scooter, full moon fever. You know it. It is full moon fever. Thank you for your super chat. I mean, is she going to apologize to the jury for wasting more of their time? She doesn't have them. She had them come in at 10. She doesn't take the bench. I mean, she had them come in at 10 today. She takes the bench at 10. She doesn't call the jury in until 10:20 because she talks sidebar about these, at least 2 of the, one motion, the Bowden motion that was filed by the Commonwealth that we went over earlier in the stream. She calls them in at 10:20 and apologizes. And now, I don't know, is this the mid-morning break? Christy, thank you very much for your $50 Venmo. So generous. Says, thanks so much for helping us through this trial. Prayers for Karen Reed, her family, and her legal counsel. Free Karen Reed. Thank you, Christy. Prayers up for the Reed family. Going through this a second time. This has been going on for almost 3.5 years. Candace, thanks for the matcha latte. Says, just thanking me. Pamela, thank you so much. Just now able to tune in due to having jury orientation. It's kind of funny. Everything they talked about, I already knew from watching trials with you. Free Karen Reed. Oh, look, you're on jury duty today in a different case? Pamela, thank you for your service. It's such an important thing. So many people try and get out of jury duty, but I always wanted to serve. I always get excused because usually in the courtroom, the courthouse that I'm called in, I usually know the attorneys, and they're just like, yeah, Melanie, no, we don't want you on our jury. Goodbye. And a lot of times they don't want lawyers on juries, but I think it's important. I think everyone should serve. If you get the opportunity, please go. Please do not try and get out of it, because it's you're providing an invaluable service, and people need good jurors. They need good jurors with common sense. And if everybody tried to get out of it, there wouldn't be any. It would be slim pickings. Well, thank you, Jerusha, who said to add Dancing in the Courthouse by Dominic Fike and Confetti by Charlotte Cardan. I don't know either one of those artists, but I did add them both to the playlist. So maybe some of you do know them, and they're on the playlist now. I mean, I could read this other motion to you, but I know that as soon as I start reading it, they're going to come back. Because that's always what happens. Christine says, I feel bad for Karen's family, and I feel bad for John's parents because Karen did not do it. Yes. Well, John O'Keefe was not hit by a car, and a car did not hit John O'Keefe. Therefore, something else happened. I don't know what it is, but it was definitely not a car accident, because if it was, don't you think the Massachusetts State Police troopers might have, filled out a motor vehicle accident crash report? That's going to be it's going to be really hard to prove a wrongful death case for a motor vehicle accident when there's no actual motor vehicle accident crash report. They never filled it out. But if they did,
You are unmuted.
you can bet Karen's insurance company would have done a really good investigation. Maybe they didn't want that.
Put it back in session, you may be seated.
Okay.
Maybe the jury's not
Mr.
there.
Jackson, I considered your argument, and this is simply the wrong witness, so I'm not permitting that line of testimony for that. So, all right, I think the jurors are
Rise to the jury.
Okay, so that was not the right witness for whatever he's trying to get in, and I'm not sure what it is. The termination report? Good. Subpoena Jeffrey Noble and get him down here. He's now the head mofo in charge of the MSP. He's a Jersey guy. He replaced the last guy. He's the one who wrote the termination order. Get him in. Call Michael Marcy in, because we'd love to hear from him too. Why did he make that hostage video all the way back in August of 2023 after the gag order was denied? Why did he try and taint the jury pool by saying Colin Albert was never at 34 Fairview when John O'Keefe was? Michael Proctor did not have any personal relationships with anybody at 34 Fairview. Those were all lies too. No personal relationship.
Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant, I'd like to move to a different area. At some point during the course of your investigation, you and Michael Proctor interviewed Chris and Julie Albert, correct?
Good.
That's correct.
That was at the Albert residence, the Chris and Julie Albert residence, is that right?
Yes.
On or about February 10th, 2022?
Yes,
Does that sound right?
it does.
Okay. At any point before or during that interview, did Michael Proctor discuss with you a previous relationship that he and or his family had with Chris and Julie Albert or their family?
Yes, as we're walking up to the door, he
Nothing like last
stated
minute.
that he knows them from he knows of them from around town and through friendship.
Chris and Julie Albert are the parents of Colin Albert. Remember, Karen Reed was arraigned February 2nd of 2022. They don't decide to interview Chris and Julie Albert, parents of Colin, until February 10th. 1 year later, in August of 2023, Chris Albert would become a selectman on the Canton Select Board. And he is now, apparently, the Canton Select Board is the boss of Canton PD.
Did that cause you any concern that the case officer that had been assigned to the case dealing with, obviously involving the Albert family, had a pre-existing familiarity or relationship with any members of the Albert family?
Yes, I followed up asking him if he hangs out with these people, how well he knows them. And he stated that he does not hang out with them.
Doesn't hang out
They're
with
not
them.
his friends. He just happens to know them through people in town.
Did he tell you any specifics about communications he had related to Chris and Julie Albert?
No, he did not.
Did he tell you any specifics about communications Michael Proctor had with his sister as it pertained to Chris and Julie Albert?
No.
The gift. The gift.
Did he volunteer any information about the relationship that he might have or his family might have, including his wife, with Chris and or Julie Albert?
That information did not come up.
Did you ever later learn, now I'm taking it outside of your conversation with Michael Proctor, did you ever later learn about friendship or connection that he and his family, Michael Proctor's family, had with Chris and Julie Albert or the Albert family?
I've learned of accusations. I don't know the extent of how familiar they are.
What accusations have you learned?
Through trial or through court proceedings.
Right, what are they? Give me the nature of what you've learned.
Objection.
You need to allow it.
Sustained. We need a time frame.
Sure.
Anytime
When
until
did you learn
today.
of this information?
That was July of 2023,
Oh,
I believe.
And what were the circumstances in which you gained this knowledge? What did you learn about it?
Turtle Boy?
There were accusations that Michael Proctor had familial friendship with these individuals, but the accusations were not factual.
Did you learn any specifics
Of
of the allegations? Did you use the word allegations? Or I think you used the word accusations.
yes,
Were there specifics?
there were.
You just said that what were some of the specifics?
Objection.
Sustained.
He learned them. Why
Well-
can't he talk about them?
By the way, did you say that you learned of these accusations during the last proceeding in this case?
Not the last proceeding. I
Or a
said
prior proceeding in this case?
it was
Before the
through
first
court
trial.
proceedings.
Okay, how did you learn that specifically, Sergeant? Did you watch some of the proceedings? Were they televised? Did someone report it to you? What were the circumstances?
I was present in court.
Wait, in
This
2023?
was what year? 2020,
He said
2023.
Yes,
And did you take any action to investigate further the accusations that you said came up in 2023?
no. Well, yes, I did. Yes.
Okay, what did you do in that regard? What were the accusations and what did you do to investigate?
must have been a hearing.
The information had been learned and that it was not factual. So
Okay, you're using the word information. Help me out. Details.
What information?
What'd you learn?
there was claims that
I object.
Sustained.
Any reproach, Your Honor?
Yeah.
Yes.
These are all his words. And when Alan tries to get into it, it's not allowed. Must have been during a July of 2023 motion hearing or some other court hearing, and he was in the courtroom. Trying to think what motion was heard around that time. Was it maybe the motion to dismiss the grand jury indictment because of Proctor failing to disclose his personal ties to the Alberts? Might have been during that time. Might have been around then. There was a hearing. Thanks, Wendy. Yeah, that's what I thought. We watched so many hearings. They're all conflating in my head. Liz, did you see the Rhode Island reporter who was allegedly taking pictures in the direction of the jury? Yeah, his name's John DePetro. Don't know a lot about that guy, except for I think he said some pretty nasty things about me on Twitter. I don't know if he was taking pictures of the jury. I don't know if he was watching something on his phone. I cannot confirm or deny, but you can see there are court officers standing behind. See, the media is at this high top behind the O'Keefe family, and there are always court officers behind them. So I cannot give into the rumor and speculation of that unless he actually, has been reprimanded by a court officer for doing that. I don't know whether it's true or not. Him holding up his phone, he could have been looking at it. I don't know if he was filming the jury. Did he post any videos of the jury? I don't know. It's highly improper. He'll never be allowed back in the courtroom if that's true. There's just so much wild rumor and speculation going on Twitter. I will always call it Twitter, by the way, that I just don't like to feed into it. But I don't know if that's true or not. Can celebrities be picked as jury? Well, it's so funny that you asked that. Collusion, not collision. Did you watch Jury Duty on Amazon Prime? It's an amazing show in which James Marsden is selected for jury duty and plays like the most douchey version of himself. It's amazing. It's hilarious. It's like a reality show. But yeah, celebrities can be picked as jurors. Vinnie Politan was on a jury recently, and he talks about it. So yeah, as long as they can be fair, I highly recommend Jury Duty on Amazon Prime. Check it out if you haven't watched it. If you have watched it, let me know if you liked it. Thank you, Renee, for your super sticker. Heather, Turtle Boy needs to send that statement to Attorney Bradel. I'm sure he's all over it. I'm sure he is. Colonel Med, YURY lost 5 vacation days. Can he face more discipline? Well, not based on what already happened, but if they find out that they're that he may be, lying on the stand now, could he face more discipline? Anything's possible. Justin says, door dashing with Melanie Little is my daily routine. Thank you. DoorDash is my life. I didn't even know that you could have DoorDash go to like Best Buy and buy things for you and Home Depot. I never have to go there again. It's fantastic. If I need light bulbs or something, I can have them on my front porch before I would have even thought about getting in my car to go to Home Depot. And I love DoorDash too. Huge fan. Thank you, 34 Correct View. That's a rumor that I will not address, so I'm not going to read that, but thank you for your 5.
Final question, Sergeant. I think I asked this, but let me make sure I'm clear. Your interview along with Michael Proctor with Chris and Julie Albert was February 10th, 2022, correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'm not certain on that, but I believe it was.
Okay. Well, let me just clear that up real quick. Would it refresh your recollection to look at your report?
Yes, absolutely.
Chris and Julie Albert. In that report, it also says Chris Albert. It says that they followed to 34 Fairview. Thank you, Lisa, for your 20 and
Thank
for
you.
loving
Does that
jury
refresh your
duty.
recollection, Sergeant?
Yes, sir.
What was the date?
February 10th.
Thank you. Okay. I want to move to back to Canton PD. Did you at some point recover some videos or a series of
Here we go.
electronic data that purported to be videos from Canton PD in furtherance of your investigation?
Yes.
And to whom did you deliver these videos, and whom were they requested by?
The initial request was by Michael Proctor. I delivered them to him.
Okay. Since that delivery, have you seen these videos?
Yes, I have.
Okay. No, I'm holding a flash drive that I'd like to have, with the court's permission, I'd like to have marked as next in order for introduction, but I'll play the first couple of seconds of it and just establish the foundation first with the court's permission.
Have you shown it or discussed this with Mr. Brennan?
I just discussed it with Mr. Brennan at the break.
What's the Commonwealth's position? I have no idea what it is.
giving him an opportunity to object, telling him, Hank, you
Sure,
should
we can
object
mark-
to this.
Yes. Mr. Brennan said he'd like to review them before they get entered into evidence. We can mark them for ID for purposes of this examination.
I don't expect I'll object. I just want to review.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we'll mark it for identification.
because
please, Madam.
you are the one who turned him over to the defense, sir.
Just to establish the foundation so we know what we're talking about, did you see on some of the electronic devices that you picked up in furtherance of this investigation, video of somebody outside? Now we're the outside cameras or outside camera view at Canton PD at
Higgins.
about 1:30 in the morning on January 29th, 2022.
The digital video, one of the collection items. It wasn't a device. It was, well, I guess it is a device, but the digital storage that was collected had video from external view of the PD. I do not remember specifically seeing an individual,
Right.
but
Okay.
I did
Do you
review
remember
it.
being of the parking lot area, at least one of them.
It's
One of
Higgins.
the clips being of the parking lot
Spoiler
area
alert.
outside Canton PD.
I don't remember seeing outside parking lot. I'd have to see it.
I understand. Do you remember another clip being of the outside sallyport? There's a pedestrian door, not the big roll-up door, but a pedestrian door. Someone going in and out of the pedestrian door.
I know the view you're talking about, but specifically what you're saying, I would have to see the video, tell you if I saw it or not.
And I'm asking a couple of these other questions. I think I may know what the answer is. There's another, do you remember another video being an internal corridor, looking down a hallway and seeing someone walking up or back?
Yes,
Do you
yes,
remember that one?
I do.
Okay, and then one on the outside, again, sort of passing from right to left, may not be intended to a parking lot, but at least an outdoor view of someone moving from frame right to frame left across the camera angle.
I don't remember that.
You do remember that all these videos, I just mentioned 4, we've talked about 4, these videos were from January 29th, 2022, around generally 1:30, 1:45, 2 o'clock in the morning.
I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact time and date. I just remember seeing the file and reviewing it.
Do you remember Mr. Proctor asking for video attendant to January 29th? At least can we narrow it to that date?
From Canton PD?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So these are all from January 29th, 2022. You just don't remember the specifics of them. It's been too long since you've seen them.
I don't know when each video was collected and then
Yeah, nobody does.
reviewed.
Okay.
Exactly.
They don't have metadata
With
either.
the court's permission, well, may I have just a moment to confer with counsel?
That's what, Dave, that's what a lot of people are saying, that Higgins is going to be wearing different clothes. He had him identify his clothes Friday at the waterfall. He had some like logo on the front of his
With the court's
sweatshirt.
permission, I'd ask that
I don't know what it is.
what's been marked as GG, at least the first video, be published for the jurors.
All right, so there are 4 videos on this flash drive?
One video, 4 different camera angles as it's set from the one video.
Are you ready to see this now? I thought you wanted to review it.
I'll agree, and if I have a problem, I'll let the court know. No problem.
All right, so for the first one, the first camera
Look at
angle?
her
Correct.
helping him.
Okay,
It's one video, but 4 different angles.
all right. We just have to keep a record. That's why I'm
Understood.
asking all these
It's a little
questions.
complicated.
No, you're asking questions to help Hank
All
Brennan.
right, we can do that.
Thank you.
Edmund, it's called Nonnas, Nonnas on Netflix. Great movie. Brand new. Just came
And
out.
This is, Your Honor, just for the record, actually, let me do it this way. Sergeant, would you agree that we can call this the rear lot main side at Canton PD, just for identification purposes?
Sure, if you'd like. I don't know which side this is, so I can't argue with you about the location. So
Okay.
I'll agree with you that we can call it that.
Great. It looks like a parking lot. There's cars.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. Just for purposes of, so it doesn't get complicated, we'll call this rear lot main side. That doesn't mean anything unless you adopt it. So just for identification purposes.
Thank you.
If we could move to runtime 1:26:32.
Okay, that's not the time in the video. That's just the run time of the video. So don't get
With
confused.
course permission, may I play it at this point?
Okay.
Thank you. Stop. Did you see a car pass in
Oh,
front?
hold on.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We
What
gotta go
kind of
back.
car did that look like to you?
It looked like a two-door Jeep Wrangler with.
Hold on.
Yes, sir.
We need to go back. Does it have a plow on it? Hold on. I'm going to full screen this. This is Higgins Jeep. Hold on. I'm going to put it on really, really slowly. We have to do this so that we can see if it has a plow.
With course permission, may I play it at this point?
It sounds ghostly, but watch.
Thank you.
Yes, I see a plow.
Stop.
Okay. Back to regular speed.
Did you see a car pass in front?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What kind of car did that look like to you?
It looked like a two-door Jeep Wrangler with a plow on it.
Okay, let's go ahead and play it. Okay, stop. Sergeant, did you, during the course of your investigation, learn whether or not anybody associated with your investigation had a two-door Jeep Wrangler with a plow on it?
Yes.
Who is that?
Mr. Brian Higgins.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and play this. Okay, stop. Sir, do you see a person who appears to have alighted from the car,
Yes.
from the Jeep? Sergeant, if you could turn your attention to the screen on the right, does that appear to be the location of the person that you're describing?
That's the individual that came out of the vehicle, yes.
Okay. I know it's super blurry. May not be able to at this point. Do you know who that is?
I do not know.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play it.
Did you see him move any other cars?
Okay, stop. All right. Did you see the person walk off the screen?
Yes.
Did it appear that that person had something in his or her hands?
Possibly, yes.
Okay.
He had something in his hands. I'm going to rewind that for us so that I can zoom in on it for you. So just let's give me a second here. Where is he?
Okay, stop. All right. Did you see?
Which way did he go? Which way did he go? Okay. He has something in his hands. Oh, yes, he does. Looks like a phone. Okay, let's see. He gets out of his truck, his Jeep. Somebody said it looked like there's somebody in the passenger seat. I can't see well enough. Is it the same sweatshirt?
Okay, stop. Sir, do you see a person who appears to have alighted from the car,
Yes.
from the Jeep? Sergeant, if you could turn your attention to the screen on the right, does that appear to be the location of the person that you're describing?
That's the individual that came out of the vehicle, yes.
Okay. I know it's super blurry. May not be able to at this point. Do you know who that is?
I do not know.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play it. Okay, stop. All right, did you see the person walk off the screen?
Yes.
Did it appear that that person had something in his or her hands?
Possibly, yes.
Okay. May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Looked like he was on his phone, right?
Thank you, Your Honor. If we could play the second clip on this same GG. Before this is played, Sergeant, do you recognize what's depicted in this photograph?
I do not know.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play this.
Oh,
Stop.
there he is.
What do you see on the video at this point?
An individual crossing the frame with a couple of cars parked, one of which has a plow on it.
Does it look like an exterior video?
Yes.
Does that appear to be an exterior video if you don't know exactly where, an exterior video of Canton PD?
From the facilities, yes.
Okay. And describe the person that you see in the foreground at the bottom of the screen.
Appears to be wearing a black sweatshirt, a hooded sweatshirt.
Larger in stature, smaller in stature, can you tell?
I'd be speculating because there's no comparison, but possibly larger. I don't know.
Okay, let's go ahead and play it. And that's it for that. Your Honor, if we could play the next
As he
video.
walked by, you could see writing on the right arm of the sleeve of the sweatshirt, unless of, I mean, that looks like writing. Wait, unless of course it's
Possibly larger.
inverted.
I don't know.
Is that writing on the right sleeve of the sweatshirt right there? Let's see if I can make it a little bigger for you. And if anybody can read the timestamp on that,
Okay.
let me know. Looks like some sort of writing on the right sleeve. But again, it could be just a shadow on the camera, so I'm not sure.
Let's go ahead and play it. And that's it for that. Your Honor, if we could play the next video. By the way, can we agree before we move off of this, just for identification purposes, can we agree to call this rear lot cruiser side as opposed to rear lot main side, just to keep them separate?
Same as last time. I'm not aware familiar where that camera is, so I cannot argue with you nor adopt. But if for identification purposes only, we can agree on that.
Can you see from where you are, I know the answer to this, can you see from where you are the timestamp on the bottom of this?
No.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, it's very, very small. Is it possible to ask the witness to adjourn from the witness stand just to get close enough to see if you can read the...
You can't increase the size of it?
Maybe we can. I'm not the
Can't.
tech guy. Mr.
You
Wolf?
can't.
Magic. Wow.
Magic 127.41.
Okay. Can you read that?
Yes, it says rear lot cruiser side.
Okay. What about the time?
The timestamp reads 1:27:41.
Do you see a date?
Yes.
What is that date?
1/29/2022.
Thank you.
Notice how all the chirons of the
This was my
exterior
fault.
cameras are
Your Honor, if we
blue.
could move back to rear lot main side. I'd like to do the same thing. I failed to ask for the time and date on that one.
Excellent. Make the record clear.
Mr. Wolk, if you could, please. Is it possible to see
127.32.
from there, the time and date?
Yes, the time is 1:27:32 a.m. and the date is 1/29/2022.
Thank you.
So,
Okay, if we can move to the third clip.
so the second clip is taken 9 seconds later. It took him 9 seconds. He's not even inside yet. What was he doing for 9 seconds?
If we could start, Mr. Wolk, by enhancing with the court's permission the time and date. Let's just start with that. Do you see what the timestamp designates this camera angle to be?
It appears to be church side. And I can't read the third word there.
It's
Sallyport.
exterior.
Oh, yes, exterior. Sallyport.
Okay, and if you could tell the jurors what you see in terms of the time and date.
The time is 1:27:43 a.m. and the date is 1/29/2022.
2 seconds
Thank you.
later.
Mr. Wolk, if you could play that with the court's permission.
Okay.
Here he comes.
Stop. Do you see a person in that video?
I do.
Although it's somewhat blurry, can you describe that individual for us, please?
Individual wearing dark clothing, possibly. That's the best I could do, really.
Okay. Does it appear, given what you've seen in terms of the time of the main side, cruiser side, and now this exterior church side, does that appear to be the same person moving through on the outside of Canton PD?
It does, yes.
Okay. And what are we looking at here, by the way? What is this door he's about to walk into?
I don't know.
I'd be guessing. I was never present on that side of the Sallyport.
Understood.
I don't know.
Let's go ahead and play this.
Well, it's the church side exterior.
Okay. And for the final
Looks
clip,
like you had to swipe a key card maybe to get in.
if we could go down to the timestamp and date.
Interior hallway.
A little bigger, Mr. Wolk, if you could. Can you see what that is designated as that camera angle?
Yes, it says first floor corridor, and the time is 1:28:03 a.m. on the 29th of January, 2022.
Okay. Is this the corridor version or video that you did have some recollection of?
Yes, this is, yes.
Okay, if we can go ahead and play this.
20 seconds later.
Stop. Do you recognize the person in this video?
It appears to be Mr. Brian Higgins.
Okay, and what is he wearing? Describe it for the jurors.
Black sweatshirt with some sort of logo on the front. It appears to be blue jeans and shoes with a white trim.
And is the hood up or down on the sweatshirt?
It's up.
Okay, let's go ahead and play this.
It looks to be the same sweatshirt to me, but I don't know. It goes into somewhere. Oh, a door.
I have just a moment. Could you pause this, Mr. Wolf?
What does that door say? Can't read it. It's a different sweatshirt. Same. It looks like the same sweatshirt to me, but I don't know. Consulting with Karen because nobody knows this case better than she does. This is her life. She's very, very involved in her defense. I don't think I've ever seen.
Note of the time
It's different.
as it's paused right here.
Maybe he's going to change when he goes in and come out in
Do
a
you want me
different
to say it
sweatshirt.
again or
Yes,
write
sir.
it down?
Yes, sir.
The time is 1:28:16 a.m.
Okay, and if we could just continue playing this video.
Let's see if he changes his sweatshirt when he went in.
It is playing. Stop. Now, if you could take a look at the time now.
None of this video was turned over before the first trial. This all surfaced after.
Okay, what's that time?
1:29:42
Okay.
a.m.
And if we could go ahead and go forward.
He had something in his hands when he came out.
Is it still playing, Mr. Wolk? Okay. If we could take a look at the time one more time.
Now it's, you want me to say it?
Yes, sir.
1:34:12 a.m.
And in the time, just so the record's clear, in the time between you saying 1:28:16 to 1:34:12, 6 minutes has not gone by, correct?
Just under 6, I believe, yeah.
well, 6 minutes for us in real time.
Oh, in real time, yeah, no.
It is not. So it
Sorry.
appears that the camera jumped, or the time jumped.
There's video missing. It
The time
jumped.
difference from what was displayed is approximately 6 minutes, yes.
Okay, which is much further than,
It jumped.
much longer.
6 minutes
than the time
missing.
we've actually been looking at the video, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so it appears that it may be motion activated and it just jumped.
That's a possibility, yes.
Okay.
yes.
Let's go ahead and continue playing this.
Maybe it's not motion
And
activated.
stop. Do you see someone in the screen now?
Yes.
And one more time, I know this is laborious, one more time, if we could clock the time. Can you see that?
No, it's really blurry for me.
134:15. I got you.
There we go.
Yes. Now I can see it 1:34:15, if I'm not mistaken. AM.
Okay, fair enough. And let's go ahead and play this all the way through.
Wait, he's got black Nike soles on. Are they Nike? I don't know. But look, as you see him walking, we're going to slow this down. To me, it looks like the same sweatshirt, but
Let's go ahead and play.
you guys have eagle eyes, so I'm going to slow down the speed for this. And look at the bottom of his shoes. He's got black soles on. Remember, the sneaker was not found until the next night in the dark.
This all the way through.
It's like a black sole with a white rim around it.
Okay. Who did that appear to be walking away from the camera in this shot?
I'm not certain. I would be suspecting or guessing if I gave you an answer, but
No,
I'm
you
not
never
certain who that
suspected
is.
anybody else in this crime,
As
so
best you can determine, does he have the same stature? I know you can't see his face. Same stature, same clothing, jeans, shoes with white stripe around it, dark hooded sweatshirt. It should appear to be the same person as Brian Higgins.
It does appear that way, yes.
Okay. Is that it? Okay.
he shouldn't
One
use the
more
word
clip.
suspect because he doesn't know how to suspect anyone
I'd ask
of,
you to look at
of
on the
anything.
same, GG device. Okay.
Thanks on top.
What do you see in this video?
Appears to be the church side sallyport, and an individual came out of the door.
Okay, and can we highlight the time, please, or increase the size? What time do you see there?
1:34:40 a.m.
Okay, if we go ahead and play this through. Pause. Does it appear from this video that the person has anything in his hand?
I'm sorry, can you play that again? I wasn't looking at the hand,
Oh,
but
sure, sure.
Looks
I
like he
really
puts his
can't
phone
tell.
up to his ear. Yeah, he's got his phone up to his ear. Hold on. Do we really need to do all the detective work here? Apparently we do.
There should be. Pause. Does it appear from this video that the person has anything in his hand?
I'm sorry, can you play that again? I wasn't looking at the hand,
Oh,
but
sure, sure.
Watch, he raises his hand to his ear. Yep. There it
I
is.
really can't tell.
Okay. There should be another video of the rear lock cruiser side. Let's take a look at that. Pause. What do you see in that video?
It appears to be an individual
You can see his
wearing
phone is
a
lit up.
black beanie hat, black dark colored sweatshirt with some design on it, and something illuminating by his face.
A phone. Come back to your screen if you haven't been watching, unless you're driving or operating heavy machinery or on scaffolding. You guys stay safe up there. Watch. See that? See the light of his phone? You can clearly see it.
Can we enhance the time, please? What time is that?
It says 1:34 and 53 seconds in the morning, AM.
And if you could move the screen over to the individual.
So 13 seconds passed in between those two videos, by the way. Last one was
Does that appear
1:34:40.
to be the same person?
It could possibly be, yeah.
And does it appear as something in his hand up to his face, the right side of his face or ear?
Yes.
What do you think that is?
It's consistent with a cellular device, possibly a phone or a
Wow.
tablet.
Okay. If we can move on, please.
Higgins testified he made no phone calls in the early morning hours and that the phone calls with Brian Albert were butt dials back and forth at 2:22. This is at
I believe there's
1:34:53.
one more video. And Your Honor, this one is a little longer. This is about 10 minutes.
Oh, good.
With permission, I'd like to play this through.
We're here for it. I'll full screen it for you. She's being awfully.
Do you see a person in the video walking from screen right to screen left?
Yes.
Did that person appear to have something in his right hand?
I can't tell. I can't see his right hand.
Okay. When he first walked into the screen, could you tell?
I couldn't. No, I'm sorry.
Mr. Wolk, could we back that up with the court's permission about 2 seconds? Stop. Did it appear as something in his hand?
It's a possibility, yes.
Okay. And just for, I'm going to ask you for 2 times when we start and when we stop. What's the time on this video at this point when he walks into frame?
1:35 and 8 seconds in the morning, AM.
Okay. And let's go ahead and play this through.
I mean, it looks like you still got the phone up to his ear, no? He didn't slip at all, right? No snow boots necessary. Thanks, little cupcake. No, the butt dials of Brian Albert were at 2:22 a.m. This is 1:35. If it's 10 minutes, it goes to 1:45. We'll see if he was moving the cars around, like he said. He testified at the first trial that he had to move a couple of cars around because otherwise they get mad because they can't plow. Where is he now? It's like playing Where's Waldo? I couldn't tell where he went. If you guys saw where he went, let me know. None of this video was turned over before the first trial. Ask yourselves why. The judge says it was because Michael Proctor hid it in a drawer. She put that in her order, denying the defense motion to dismiss. Michael Proctor had all of this video and he didn't turn it over. That was the judge's words. He's in between the Jeep and the car. How is Bev not gravely concerned? I don't know, Gene. Yeah, he was in a hurry to get something, Bev's broomstick says, and now he's wasting 10 minutes in a parking lot. Did he go in the passenger side of Jeep, Heather? He went in the passenger side of the Jeep? Yeah, that's his Jeep with the plow in the front. We saw him drive it in, if you're just tuning in. He drove it in. He parked there. He went inside. We saw him walking down the hallway. We've seen him on his phone. And during the first trial, he said he doesn't remember making any calls in their early morning hours. January 29th, no calls at all. Thank you, Lanita, for your nice compliment and your cash app. I appreciate you. Thanks, William, who says free Karen Reed.
Pause it, please. Sergeant, at this point, do you see a person walking into the frame the video from frame left to frame right?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Here he comes. He's in between the Jeep and the other, looks like a truck next to it. He moved one car. Okay. What just had happened? Now it's all blown out. The car next to his Jeep.
Can you pause it?
Looks like the door is
Did
open.
you
The
see
door's
something
open.
happen with the vehicle next to the Jeep in the last few seconds?
Yes.
What was that?
It appears as though the headlights are activated.
Okay, let's go and play it.
Now he's in the work truck. Is that his work truck? Maybe.
Okay, pause it. You see a person that is walking from screen right to screen left in the middle of the screen?
Yes, he just or she just appears to have
He or
closed
she?
the door on that vehicle next to the plow.
He
Okay.
or she?
And walking toward which vehicle?
The one on the furthest on the left.
Okay, from what you've seen, Sergeant, that you said he or she, does that person appear to be consistent with the video that we've seen in other particulars of Brian Higgins?
As far as I could tell from here, the individual accessed Brian Higgins' vehicle, so
Right.
I'd be speculating with the whiteout conditions or near whiteout conditions. It's tough to tell.
But no reason to believe it's anybody other than Brian Higgins accessing Brian Higgins' vehicle.
No.
Okay,
No.
let's go ahead and play it. And what do you see Brian Higgins or that person doing now?
They accessed the vehicle on the far left.
Okay. And where's that person going?
Now they're accessing the Jeep Wrangler.
Now he's walking again towards a different car. Here he comes. He's walking back. I can't zoom in because I don't know what's going to happen when.
Can you pause it? Where does that individual appear to be now in the video?
Last I could tell, they might be by the Jeep Wrangler.
Before that person got to the Jeep Wrangler, was he standing by the vehicle on the far left, SUV or truck?
It appeared that way, but with the heavy whiteout snow that night, I can't tell exactly what they were doing.
Did it appear, did you see anything in his hand, like a bag or a satchel or a duffel bag or something when that person walked from this vehicle over to the Jeep?
I did not notice, no.
Go ahead.
He had a bag in his hand? Did he put something in the truck? He just went into the front passenger
Now, has
side
person
of that
walked off
car and the
screen
back
to the left?
Yes, sir.
passenger side.
Do you see that person entering screen from screen left?
Yes.
What did you just see the person do?
They were carrying possibly like a snow broom, walking from left to right.
And what do you see happening now?
The Jeep Wrangler's leaving the spot it was parked in.
Oh, what time is that?
Okay, we can take that down. Oh, I'm sorry. I failed to ask you the time. I promised I would
Yeah,
do it. and
put
I
it back.
Forgot again. Can we look at the time real quick?
Yes, the time for the rear lot main side is 1:45:52.
And it appears that's the approximate time that the Jeep Wrangler drove off.
Approximately, yes.
Okay, thank you. in well, are you friends with Brian Higgins?
I am not.
Define
Do you know
friends.
Brian Higgins?
I know who he is, yes.
Have you ever socialized with Brian Higgins?
Like out on private time?
Go out, have a
Private
beer,
time? Is that what
see
we
him
call
at
it
a
now?
bar. Hey, Brian, let's grab a beer. Nothing like that.
Private
How
time.
long have you known Mr. Higgins?
I'd be speculating. It's before this case. He was a law enforcement individual that worked in the area. So I've had cases where he assisted on and that I've assisted on.
Would you consider yourself to have a professional relationship with him?
I knew who he was. So yes, I would consider a professional relationship.
But you would not consider your relationship to have gone over to the personal relationship? You don't
Not at all.
socialize, do any
No.
private
No.
get-togethers?
No.
Okay.
No private time.
You would agree that this video pretty clearly shows, at least at one point, around 1:34 a.m., Brian Higgins was on his phone.
Is that the one that he has the device by his face?
Correct.
It appears that way, yes.
And just to be clear, when you interviewed Mr. Higgins, he did not volunteer to give you his phone, correct?
He did not volunteer it, no.
And you didn't seek his phone through a warrant or any other mechanism?
No.
I did not know.
Do you have any personal knowledge as to the status of that phone as we sit here today?
The one that he got the extractions from?
Correct.
No idea. No.
You didn't know he cracked a SIM card in half and destroyed it on a military base?
I want to shift gears to another series of videos. Last year at another proceeding, you were asked about a couple of videos from the interior Sallyport garage at Canton PD. So
Oh, yes.
the interior.
The inverted one. Buckle up, buttercups.
You remember those series of questions and answers that you gave?
Generally.
Okay. You were asked at another proceeding to describe when the SUV, Ms. Reed's SUV, first arrived at the Sallyport garage around 5:30 or so, correct?
Based on my recollection of it first arriving or what we were viewing?
What you were viewing.
I'm objecting to this.
Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Do you remember being asked a series of questions concerning the arrival of the SUV, just in general?
I remember that it happened. I don't remember the exact questions on what my answers were.
And you remember seeing a video about which you were asked questions concerning the arrival of that SUV, pulling into the Sallyport, who was who, what the time frame was generally. Do you remember that colloquy, that discussion?
I remember it taking place, yes.
That was Mr. Lally asking you questions, correct?
I believe so.
Under questioning by the Commonwealth, you were asked whether the video that you were looking at fairly and accurately represented the SUV arriving at the Sallyport garage, correct?
Yes.
And you indicated, in fact, it did fairly and accurately depict the arrival of the SUV at the Sallyport garage.
Oh,
Is
yes,
that
he
right?
did.
That's correct.
I don't know where Higgins is. He is MIA. Nobody seems to know. Thanks, Michelle. Could John be in the Jeep? Rescue Puppy wants to know.
I'd like to ask you a question about that particular video.
Thank you, Charles.
John, I'm holding a flash drive. May I approach?
Yes.
We have a little bit of room to scooch.
Paul, the lunch is here.
Thank you.
Jerry's, you know what? Let's take the luncheon break.
Thank you.
Let's take the luncheon break. Now we're going to take the luncheon break. It's 12:42. So what are they going to come back at 1:30? Does she want to make it an early day today again?
You can all work out the video
Hold on.
testimony. See, what do is have the voir dire right now
Oh,
to see what Sergeant
doing the voir dire.
Buchanek knew regarding that line of testimony you wanted to get into. So let's do that now, and then
Oh.
you can all work out the video issues.
we're going to do a voir dire. Because you know why? Because Hanky asked for it. Did you hear the loud sigh?
Yes. Okay.
Hold on. Here we go.
The video issues.
Listen to the
Testimony
loud
you wanted
sigh.
to- What Sergeant Buchanek knew regarding that line of testimony you wanted to get into. So let's do that now, and then you can all work out the video issues.
Wow, that was a really loud sigh, wasn't it?
Yes.
We have an emoji for that.
May I inquire briefly?
Yes.
Thank you. Sergeant, we were talking before the jury left, we were talking a little bit about the conversation that you had with Michael Proctor, either during or just before or just after that first interview with Chris and Julie Albert. What I'd like to ask you is, what information did you have and what did you ultimately learn about their relationship? You said there were some accusations and we never really got to the heart of it. What did you know and what did you do to investigate? What did you learn?
What I knew as we were walking up to the door is that he had knowledge of the individuals prior to us conducting the interview. I asked him if he knew them personally. My words, do you hang out with them? Do you socialize with them? He said, no, I do not. I said, are you comfortable doing this interview? And he said, yes. And
Are you comfortable?
me being a complete outsider and his supervisor and realizing if there was any impropriety that I would step in and recognize it, report it, and act on that. The interview was conducted without issue and we moved on.
As a matter of fact, one of the things in Trooper Proctor's report, it said the report started with following formal introductions. Did that suggest to you that Trooper Proctor had no knowledge of who Chris or Julie
Right.
Albert were from a personal standpoint?
Not at all. I believe maybe I wrote the report or was it him?
Following-
I think it is.
Yeah, so
Formal introductions. Following formal introductions. He already knew them. They didn't need to introduce themselves.
thank you. Yeah, since I authored the report, I wrote following formal introductions since I've never met them before.
Okay, so that was more attended to you than to Michael Proctor.
Correct.
Okay, but the report does say we introduced ourselves, basically. Following formal introductions.
Greeted, but I had formal introductions to them. I've never met them before in my life.
You said that subsequently you learned about, your word, accusations that had been made concerning possible relationship between Michael Proctor and the Alberts. What was that information that you learned?
When was it? I need that.
When did you learn it? I thought you said 2023, but I could be wrong. When did you learn that?
It was I believe, during the July motion proceedings when you guys had pictures up of children.
July of what year?
I believe 2023.
Okay. And what was it that you learned in July of 2023 about the potential?
The accusations?
Yeah.
That those were Albert's or McCabe's kids in the photograph with Michael Proctor?
Okay. Did you ever learn about personal communications that Michael Proctor or his wife may have had with any of the Albert family, including Julie Albert?
Ever?
Ever?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me when you learned that and what you learned in that order.
Well, Michael Proctor had communicated with those individuals, Elizabeth Proctor, and communicated with those individuals due to the harassment that they've sustained.
Oh, yeah, the harassment.
With the crazy behavior that's been, imposed on them, and the torturous harassment that they've endured, the traumatic
Torturous harassment they've endured. There's no jury there.
experiences they had to live through, they've communicated. So I've learned about.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. And those little rubber ducks, you learned a lot about them too. There's no jury here right now. So now he's performing for the media, in case you didn't pick that up. Okay. Let's just hear that again about the horrific harassment they've had to endure. No jury here, just the media, because this is what they'll go with tonight, like they always do. They never go with, the Commonwealth case being blown up because Yuri can't answer a question or tell the truth or the weather. No, this is what they'll go with. So let's listen to it again.
Yes.
Okay, tell me when you learned that and what you learned in that order.
Well, Michael Proctor had communicated with those individuals. Oh, excuse me. Elizabeth Proctor and communicated with those individuals due to the harassment that they've sustained.
Okay.
So with the crazy behavior that's been, imposed on them, and the torturous harassment they've endured, the traumatic experiences they had to live through, they've communicated. So I've learned about that. Yes.
Traumatic.
I was taking in all of that evidence, hundreds and pieces of evidence that I've archived in order to
Congrats.
Go ahead. In order to.
investigate it.
Okay. You're talking about Elizabeth Proctor well after the fact of the interview and the incident.
Elizabeth Proctor is Michael Proctor's wife. There was no harassment or torturous harassment endured when you interviewed Chris and Julie Albert on February 10th of 2022. But props to you for getting all that out there.
Well after the fact of the interview and the incident in 2022. That's what you were just describing.
It was after the harassment
Okay.
started, yes.
Which is well after January 29, 2022, right?
January 20, yes, it is.
Okay. I'm asking about information related to a relationship prior to January 29, 2022. Did you ever learn about a pre-existing relationship that may have existed between the Proctor family and the Albert family before January 29, 2022, and maybe a couple of days after?
All I know is that there was a relationship explanation provided by Mr. Lally during one of the motions, and it was like 6 degrees separated by individuals residing in the community, living in the community, raising their kids in the community, working in the community, so making them community members and having relationship within that. I don't know the extent of those relationships.
Okay. Did you, during that hearing where you said there were pictures of the kids and et cetera, that July 2023 hearing, did you see a Facebook post during the course of that hearing wherein the Albert family called the Proctor family their second family, or vice versa, where the Proctor family, Michael Proctor's mother, they've called the Alberts their second family? You remember that Facebook post?
I don't remember seeing that post. I just remember there were like a picture of kids that weren't Michael Proctor's kids.
Okay, but you were in court that day.
I was in court in July, I believe it was 23rd of July, for
Okay.
the motion, yeah.
July 23rd.
Beside the photographs that you talked about, did you see the Facebook post about those two families, specifically Michael Proctor's mom, saying that the Alberts were their, quote, second family?
I don't remember seeing that post.
That didn't strike you, or that was not in your brain, in your head?
I don't think I've ever seen a post like that. So I just remember seeing the post of the kids.
Yeah, because that was part of the motion hearing too. Did you not pay attention? First of all, I think the picture of those kids was supposed to be, I thought it was Jennifer McCabe's kids, and then it turned out not to be. I'm not really sure. But Michael Proctor's mother posted on Facebook a comment underneath an Albert family post. Oh, look who it is, the Alberts, something like this. The Alberts are like our second family. I love our second family, something such as like that. But he doesn't remember that part.
was Miss Little that was holding up the poster.
What about the text messages, or what about any text messages between Michael Proctor and his sister concerning Julie Albert, very specifically concerning Julie Albert? Are you aware of those?
No.
Have you ever seen a text message between Julie Albert, between Courtney Proctor and, it's Courtney Proctor and Michael Proctor, where the sister says, Julie wants to give you a gift because you're doing such a great job leading this, meaning this investigation? Are you aware of that?
No.
Are you aware of a text message in which
Look at that. It's as if
Michael Proctor
it's as
responds?
if he would be offended by that text message. Really? You didn't watch the whole first trial, dude? Even in the past year? Look at the way he reacts to Courtney Proctor, who's Michael Proctor's sister, sending a text to Michael Proctor saying, Julie says she wants to get you a gift when it's all over. That was the same day that Karen Reed's arraignment happened, February 2nd of 2022. And then Michael Proctor wrote back, tell her to get one for my wife. Look how offended he looks. Like as if he knew about this text message, he would have done something about it, right? Give me a break.
Courtney Proctor and Michael Proctor, where the sister says, Julie wants to give you a gift because you're doing such a great job leading this,
Look at his face.
meaning this investigation. Are you aware of that?
No.
Are you aware of a text message in which Michael Proctor responds, get it for my wife? Meaning, if you're going to give us a gift, get the gift for my wife.
No idea.
Okay. Are you aware of a series of text messages between and among Michael Proctor and Elizabeth Proctor in which they talk about, between Michael Proctor and Courtney Proctor, in which they talk about Julie Albert? This is 10 days before the incident, 10 days before January 29th.
Yeah.
So mid-January, where they talk about the possibility of Julie Albert babysitting for Michael Proctor and Elizabeth Proctor's kids.
Yep.
I am not aware of those text
This is the
messages.
first you've heard of any of those.
Of these text messages?
The text messages
Yeah.
that I'm describing, have you ever heard of any of those?
No.
Okay. Did you ever talk to or investigate the circumstance of the possibility, even the remote possibility, that Michael Proctor may have had a relationship with the Alberts that you were unaware of?
No, I never investigated anything like that.
So after your initial conversation with Mr. Proctor, where he said, I know of these people, and you said, is there any issue with you going forward? And he said, no, there's no issue. You took no further steps after that to investigate that relationship. And I'm talking about the relationship that existed on or around January 29th, 2022, not in 2023, not in 2024.
Once Michael Proctor stated that he was comfortable conducting the interview, and
He's comfortable, so that's all that matters.
I asked him if he was sure, and he said yes. We moved on.
Of course you did, because you didn't investigate anything.
Yes.
Last couple of questions. Were you in court? I know you're indicating that you've never heard about these text messages. Were you in court in February of 2024 following the federal investigation revelation, the documents that we got from both sides got from the federal investigation, which revealed, and was revealed in open court, the text messages about gift giving between Courtney Proctor and Michael Proctor? Hey, Judy wants to get you a gift, and Michael Proctor's response was, get it for Elizabeth, get it for my wife. Were you in court when those were revealed?
Following the harassment, intimidation that I experienced on the 23rd, being followed into the bathroom, then being followed outside, I stopped coming to court proceedings.
Oh, this is the harassment that he suffered. Listen to the harassment. He's intimidated by what? Being followed to the bathroom? Hold on, I didn't know the details of his harassment. Sue says Yuri was actively investigating Aiden for all of this in July of 2023. Alan can trip him up on this. This is how he was intimidated. Listen. Big bad Yuri. Big bad Bukhenik is intimidated by Aiden Carney. Listen.
Following the harassment, intimidation that I experienced on the 23rd, being followed into the bathroom, then being followed outside, I stopped coming to court proceedings due to that. So I was not in court in February of 2024.
Did you watch it on TV?
Describing the information that you're revealing. I was not aware of that
Did you
detail.
review that all of these proceedings are televised? Sorry, you know that, right?
I'm not aware that it's televised, no.
You're not aware-
I know it streams, but I'm not aware that it's televised.
Oh, do you watch me?
However, whatever you want to call it. Streamed on the internet. You can find it.
You can, yes.
They're recorded.
Right.
Did you ever review the hearing in February 2024 talking about what's been referred to as the Fed dump and the revelations that were made pursuant to that federal investigation and the text messages attendant thereto?
I am aware of a Fed dump. I'm aware that it exists. I was not privileged to any information outside of the information that was revealed to me during the internal affairs investigation.
Right.
That was the first time I saw documents from that federal investigation.
By the way, were you privy to, Michael, there were three individuals involved in the investigation, yourself, Lieutenant Tully, and Michael Proctor, is that right?
In what
The
investigation?
internal affairs investigation.
I'm aware that I was. I know they were as well. I don't know who else might have been involved. I don't know.
In terms of your awareness of Michael Proctor's investigation, you're aware, obviously, that he was terminated, correct?
I am aware that he's terminated, yes.
Did you ever see or were privy to any of the documents or investigative materials associated with his termination as his supervisor?
No.
So nothing was ever shared with you, the final
Other
decision?
than the documents that he was attached in the text message that I was shown from that investigation, nobody showed me anything of his investigation.
Okay, so let's wrap this up.
Okay, that was basically all.
Okay, all right. Do you want to be heard, Mr. Jackson?
That was,
Okay, yeah, I'm not letting any of this in.
oh,
I think it's all admissible, but I understand the court's ruling was if he doesn't have personal knowledge of it and didn't have it then you're not going to let it in. So for our objection, but that's been noted.
Okay, so you got your voir dire, and I'm glad we fleshed it all out. So
yeah, I'm glad we fussed it all out. You lose.
you have to be back here in 35 minutes.
Great.
Right. When's
As
the
you
date
know.
coming back, Paul?
It was 20 of
All right. Be back here at 25.
Be back here at 1:35. That's 35 minutes from now. You know, the defense team doesn't eat lunch at the courthouse. They have to go somewhere off campus to eat lunch. So you know what? No big whoop. We're going to give you however many minutes to get there, shove some food in your face and come right back because I'm not going to allow any of this in. You know who's going to have to come to the stand then? Julie Albert, Courtney Proctor. Good. Bring them on in. But the Commonwealth won't call them, of course, in their case in chief because, you know, it's going to hurt their case. And so if YURIY Bukhenik can't testify about that stuff because he doesn't have any personal knowledge about it, then Proctor's definitely going to be called in by the defense. So there it is. No problem. We'll call them all in. No big whoop. We can do that, Michelle, right? We can do that. We have the ability. We can do it. And we will. Thank you, Kimberly, who said no. I think she just denied the rest of the text messages, maybe. No, we just saw what happened. I'm sorry. I'm a little behind. How did the text between his friends come in? Proctor is going to have to come in and read them. There are also some of his friends on the witness list who also may be called in to authenticate those texts that they received from Michael Proctor. Ipsy Dixits, I beg you to please rewind to when AJ speaks to Brennan Bev is focused on him as AJ walks away. They make eye contact and he shakes his head no. Is it hidden ex parte? Thank you, love you, sis. Like that stuff is really hard to see when there's one. No, I think it was way before the videos. I don't even remember where in the stream this was. What time did you send this? 12:05. So it was approximately an hour ago. I don't know where in the stream, and you can beg me, but it's when it takes me to without a timestamp, I can't find it. Hold on, let's see, maybe it's right here. Unless it's before this. And AJ speaks to Brennan. I don't know where in the stream this was. This was approximately an hour ago, so we'll just go here for a second.
Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant, I'd like to move to a different area.
I mean, I can kind of jump around a little bit, but this takes a lot of time, and I couldn't just interrupt the stream when you put the question up, so I apologize. But if you can come up with a timestamp later or somewhere like an identifying place that I can find this, it's going to make it easier for me. But I think everybody wants to get like a snack or something, and so I don't want to burn too much time doing this. Oh, wait, what's this? Look at Lally. He really has a dejected kind of posture. Yeah, I don't know where this is, so it's just going to take too much time to do it right now. But thank you for your super chat anyway. Sorry, I don't remember my lies. Says this is fantastic. I'm wondering at this point if the defense will only need to call ARCA and dog expert considering all the new evidence this trial. No way. They're going to call every single expert they have, a whole bunch of other witnesses, and no, this is not a dress rehearsal anymore. This is no joke. She's facing life in prison, and they're going to call every single person they can. Bees and flowers. Does Tristan pick up something from Higgins in the parking lot? I have no idea. Can't they subpoena the phone company for records? The police department can pretty much do whatever they want, but the defense can't. They have to make motions for every single time they want to get cell phone records of a third party. Those are called Rule 17 motions. We saw a whole bunch of them in between the first and second trials and before the first trial. And in fact, the motion to get part of Jen McCabe's Google searches and Brian Albert's records went all the way up to the appellate court, was reversed partially on appeal, came back. It's been like pulling teeth to try and get third party records. However, had all of this video been turned over before the first trial, there would have been a good faith basis to get Higgins records. That motion was denied on its face. And so there's that. Nicole says, someone get that card or rug from the Canton PD and check it for John's blood and DNA. Higgins is clearly leaving wet footprints. Maybe there's a transfer of blood. Could be. Maureen, would this be considered proof that Brian Higgins perjured himself? No cars moved and no phone calls. Well, some people said they thought he moved a car, one car. The second, he could say that he was checking his voicemail or something. He wasn't calling anybody. Who knows? He'd find a way to wiggle out of it. And so do they prosecute for perjury in Norfolk County? That would be something the district attorney would have to determine. Not I. Melanie Bevno's testimony has significantly changed and witnesses are lying and lied on the stand. As a judge, does she have an ethical obligation to do something? It's all for the jury to decide. The jury is the finder of fact here. So it's up to the jury to assess the credibility of each and every witness, and she will give them detailed jury instructions on how to do that. Are there consequences to her for allowing it? Judges have wide judicial discretion as well as judicial immunity for things that they do in their role as a judge. And so, yeah, many things that she's ruled on could be reversible error on appeal, but that is only in the event of a conviction. And so here we sit, taking the rulings as they come in. Many of them have been unfair. We've discussed many of them at length together. Mike from Providence says, am I crazy or does he have a light colored hoodie on now? It looked like just a different camera angle and different lighting. So I think it was hard to tell. And I would never call you crazy. Thank you, Amanj, for buying a sweatshirt for every different color for every different day. The framed mug here is from Microdots. So you can go to Microdots and find that mug from Microdots. So there you go. Shout out to Microdots. Jessica, what about Dr. Wolf and Mrs. Wolf and the kid Wolf who have had their pictures posted all over Twitter and had death threats? No on investigating that. No, they don't want to investigate that. Why should they? Sue says Yuri was actively investigating eating for all this in July 2023. Alan can trip him up on this. Yeah. He says he felt threatened and harassed because he was followed to the bathroom and then followed outside. So I guess that's the extent of the harassment charges against Aiden Carney for this. I'm Cora, not Chloe, says, I notice said was a law enforcement agent for Proctor or for Higgins. Everyone hit the like button. There's over 22,000 people watching, and it'd be so awesome to get more likes on this than the 10,000 that we have. Let's get more than 50%. That'd be so cool. Thank you for the reminder and for your super chat. That was high. Doubt my name is reasonable. Clama says, I'm buying Bev a cape that has an S in the front and biased in the back, so the world knows she's super biased. Thank you, Suze. In my opinion, Higgins may take the fifth, says Nick Indy 78. Higgins has already testified. So everything that he's already testified to, he cannot take the fifth on. Certain questions that come up this time, he may. But again, he's got to get on the stand to do it, or at least be in the courtroom to do it. So I think he needs calling. I think he needs calling in. Luigi says, Auntie Bev is helping Brennan to milk the Commonwealth more. More time equals more money. Yes, that's so true because he's making $2.50 an hour. And look, Uji's looking all the way from South Africa because she can see it. He's getting paid by the hour. And so the more hours he works, the more hours he makes. The more motions he drafts, the more money he makes. He's bills by the hour. And so they've already paid him something like almost $250K. They told the taxpayers in Norfolk County they were only going to pay him $75K at $2.50 an hour. But now he will probably make, by the time the trial's over, $1 million. People were saying, why is he going to do this? Why is he taking this case? Why is he doing this? Money talks. Follow the money, right? Betterow has been tweeting 31 minutes ago. He wrote, Higgins was adamant that he moved cars in the Canton PD lot. These videos show him go into and out of vehicles, but he didn't move any. What did he get from a vehicle? And why did he claim that he went there to move cars? So many questions, Mark, so many. And then 19 minutes ago, Mark tweeted, this is beyond absurd. The supervisor of the lead investigator and his partner learned on May 12th, 2025 about the Proctor text with his sister and wife about the Albertson gifts. Yeah, just today. Nobody believes that, yet Brennan will endorse it. Yep. Yes, and he also wrote an hour ago, serious question, is there a single person, just one, who sincerely believes that Yuri's thumbs up was merely to acknowledge receipt of Proctor's messages that he had not yet located any nudes and or to his description of Karen as retarded? Did he acknowledge relevant case information received from Proctor with thumbs up? No. Yuri, in this case, is easily one of the worst police witnesses I've ever observed. In summation, it should be asked rhetorically if he's willing to lie about the small stuff. Don't think he's willing to lie about the important stuff like taillight pieces, condition of the taillight on January 29th, etc. So those are his thoughts. I think he's in court today. Thank you, Luigi. From South Africa. Mickey said he definitely had a duffel bag, large bag. Thank you, Blessed Mom, for Texas, for your super chat and for your happy Mother's Day. I did. Thank you so much. Love you guys too. Letter Rose by Better Rose and OG Cupcake, the best channel on the tube. Thank you so much. Amy, did he change clothing instead of moving cars? It looked to me like he had the same sweatshirt on, but I don't know. Policy Television says, hey, Mel, play the video again at some point. Someone was in it at the top left-hand side, exiting left too. I don't know if that was in the Sallyport interior videos and the exterior videos. And so it's hard for me to do on the fly. As always, but we're here for it. They're coming back at 1:35. I am tempted to start another stream because of the arm photos that they put on screen this morning. Because last year, when they put those photos up, every single person, every single YouTuber that was streaming that got demonetized. And so we may need to do that. But I will teleport you all over there, so do not fear. Let me just set it up. And then that way we can break this into 2 streams and everyone can go get a snack. Time is now 1:12. One moment, please. Something else I want to share with you real quick before we move over to the new stream. So right now it's buffering. Is a quote. A quote from Winston Churchill. Thank you to the viewer who commented this on my stream. Hold on a second. And here it is. We also have the other motion to read, so you're going to want to pop over to the new stream, which is just going to be in 5 seconds. So let's do this. And we'll read the other motion that we didn't get a chance to read yet. And here it is. The truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is. Winston Churchill. Excellent quote. Everything that we've been talking about all the time. Trisha Angel, is Brian Higgins left-handed? Because it looks like he kept that hand in his pocket. I don't know. It looked to me like he switched his hands for using the phone, but I am not quite sure. Good point. Thanks for your super chat. Charles, how did Yuri use an emoji on his Apple Watch? I don't know. I don't have an Apple Watch, you guys. So tell me, is that something that you can do or not something that you can do? I don't know. Norman says, Melanie, I went back and watched the part where AJ spoke to Brennan so you wouldn't have to. It was nothing. He actually moved his mic up and spoke to Bev. It just wasn't loud. Oh, thank you, Norman. I appreciate that. You saved me a lot of time. Thank you for your super chat. I've always wanted to be teleported, says Kev. All right, we're moving. We're going. Buckle up, buttercups. Moderators are awesome. We are going to teleport over to the afternoon stream so that we don't sit here for 8 hours and then get demonetized. And so here we go. Ready? Everyone, buckle up, buttercups. All right, one more thing. One more, please. No more super chats because we're moving over to a new stream. Siobhan, didn't the FBI find a black bag or duffel bag at one of Michael Proctor's friend's house? Maybe that's what Higgins had that night. Yes. Yes. Didn't Sean on the Gulf talk about that big black duffel bag at one point? Yeah, let's do it. All right. Buckle up, buttercups. We're moving to the new stream. Smash the like on this one on your way out, and then smash the like to the new one on your way in. All right, ready? Safe travels, my friends. In 3, 2, 1, let's go.